looks live. That looks live. All right. I think we are off to the races. So, chat, if you can hear me, let me know. I think we are live. I think we are ready to start the show. I apologize for the delay, but let me know if you guys can hear me. Mike, can you say hello to make sure they can hear you?
Hello.
There you go, chat. What do you guys got?
How are you?
In the meantime, while we're waiting, because there's like a 14-second delay, Warped Eye, thank you for ascending to Calypso's cult, buddy. We appreciate that very generous jump in donations. Thank you for that, sir. Hopefully that means you will be here for the Christmas season game night coming up this week, and you can jump on some games with us. But if anybody in the chat can give me a heads up. What do you mean, Warped Eye? Warped Eye says, I almost canceled my membership again. Why? Why would you? This is the best deal on the goddamn internet. This is Temu Last Stand Media. What are you talking about? But listen, I don't understand. Can you guys hear me, I assume? I just want to be sure before we get started because I don't want to do like 20 minutes like I did with Keeley and nobody could hear it. Then we'll do a professional intro and everything. Come on now. I'm a pro, boys. Oh, my God. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to go over to the goddamn YouTube and see if I can hear what the fuck's going on. Thanks, chat. 1 second, fellas. Okay, you can hear me. Good. All right. Thank you, Durally. I appreciate it. All right, here we go, folks. This is... right. I'll chop all this out. That's what the pros do. Here we go, folks. Welcome to the show. Well, hello. It is nice to see everybody. I am here with my pal Mike Arkin of the Cincinnati Arkins. I know him as a guy who kind of intimidated me when we worked together at Sony Image Soft, but I think that was just a defense mechanism you put up. And ultimately, I realized you were probably more insecure than anyone there. Would you agree that that was probably the...
I mean, aren't we all, Dave?
I used to be, and then I just stopped giving a shit. So, I'm literally...
I was kind of intimidated by you, Dave. I think we've got it all backwards.
There's no way you were intimidated by me. You were like a big shot producer, and I was like a fucking tester, I think, when you got there, an assistant producer.
You know, I worked at this little tiny game company in New York.
Acclaim.
Right, and this was my first, I moved out across the country to California to work at the big, fancy Sony, like the, biggest electronics company in the world.
Yeah.
And so the minute I walked in that building, I just, I thought like everybody there were the gods of professional game development.
Right, and then you saw that we were making Dracula and Last Action Hero, and you're like, wait a minute, maybe not so much.
Escape.
No escape, yeah.
You and Mike were the first people I met. I walked right into your room, and I was like, hey, where do I go,
Oh,
there was no receptionist or anything. Right?
What did you think of me?
And I honestly thought you guys were like these, consummate professionals.
Yeah.
And I said something like, what are you guys doing? And you looked at me like, we're designing games, dude.
I'm sure that's
like, if I had asked the stupidest question, ever. And I walked away going, oh, wow.
I don't think I said that. Mike may have said that to you. Mike may have said that to you.
I said, that's where the magic happens. That's it. That's
totally. That's exactly right. We probably had like Animaniacs on the TV, and we were just like watching that fucking show. And the worst.
I think you were actually playing with Legos.
Oh yeah, we do that a lot. But you know what? It was really sad. We're gonna get to Die Hard, I promise. But what's really sad is I was talking to Brian Wicklum, who we worked with over there, and I didn't know Rich Robinson had died. And
I didn't.
Yeah, Rich is the guy who gave me my job. He ran Sony Image Soft before Kelly, and before and after Kelly, it became PlayStation, or during Kelly and whatnot. And the saddest part about it was because he had been at Konami and he had been at Lucas. I don't know if he was at Disney. And, but Brian said towards the end, he never really felt he had gotten his props or his flowers or whatever. And, I thought he was just great. I don't know if he was the world's best manager, but he was a genuinely good person, and he was a pleasure to work with, you know. But at least that's how I found him. So I was sad to hear that he didn't really get the sense he was appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rich had a hard time. You know, I think there was a lot of pressure from Japan, and he was kind of in the middle. And I think he was the guy that took the blame when things went wrong.
Right.
And you know, he was always always complaining. But you're right. He was a super nice person.
Yeah.
He was always like, he'd always ask, you know, how you were doing, or if I'd see him like a year later or whatever. You know, it always seemed like he was happy to see you. And
Yes.
I think he was probably a better person than he was a manager.
I think so too.
But I mean, he had a lot of experience, and I think, you know, he basically knew what he was doing. Like, and he hired me. You know, so
Yes, too.
yeah, you know,
He hired me
somewhat
too.
questionable, but it was a crazy. You know, it wasn't like a simple thing. It was a crazy story, and there was a bunch of ups and downs in that whole process. And yeah, I was sorry to hear that. I had no idea.
I didn't. I was very surprised to hear it. He wasn't that old.
I think he was teaching, right?
I believe that's true.
Chicago.
Yeah, I believe that's accurate. But you know, I mean, it's weird. The older I'm getting, the more I'm recognizing that, you know, I'm too old, thank God, to change. But I hate to say it, but I really do think a lot of the people who succeed in this world, you only really succeed in this particular culture by being kind of an asshole. And you know, I think there's a sense of, and now this is going to sound conspiratorial, but I think there's a sense of the people in power have kind of sold us a bill of goods about morality and hard work and ethics and all this stuff because it keeps us from coming for their shit. And you know, because I hate that is starting to play out to be true. But I see it in politics. I see it in business. You know, it's really, I mean, maybe I'm just getting cynical as I get older. You don't see that? I see you kind of shaking your head like, I don't know.
No, I think it's totally true. I mean, hard work is also a big factor, right? I think, but you have to work hard and be an asshole. And, you know, look, like I worked in games for 35 years.
Yeah.
And I've been in management of some kind, right? For most of that, whether, you know, executive producer or studio head. And like, sometimes you have to make hard choices. And if you're like a nice guy and you never want to fire anyone, you never want to discipline anyone, then you're never going to really get ahead. Because sometimes you got to do it. You just got to like, and then to that person, you're an asshole forever.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that I agree with, but I think I'm talking about, or I know I'm talking about more morally dark areas, like lying and cheating and getting away with what you can get away with. And if you can get away with it, you're all good. You know, until you get away with it enough that you're too inoculated by the law that you can get away with it all day long. Maybe not. I know. I hate.
No, I think it's a fine line. I think, like, for example, you know, you've had the experience running an independent studio, and you're always like 3 days away from going bankrupt, right? So, you know, your publisher asks you a question, and if the answer is a lie or we're going to go bankrupt tomorrow, you're going to lie, right? You're going to do what you. I don't even know if that's being an asshole or that's
no. I don't
being
think
a nice
that.
guy and trying to preserve your team, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there are absolutely times where I've had to walk that morality line, and you know, and you jump onto one side and you jump back, and you know, I don't think I've ever like had to, you know, steal. I mean, I had a client double pay me once, right? And it was a big chunk of money, like $80,000-$90,000 or something.
Wow.
And I called my bookkeeper.
How the fuck does that work? That you just don't even know you double
They
paid?
accidentally they paid a milestone twice. They switched like bookkeepers or something.
Okay.
And I called my bookkeeper and I said, look, is there any way that I could morally justify not telling them and just keeping the money? She was like, no. Like, they'll catch it and then you'll be the asshole. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That would have been a big deal for me, right? Like, you know, keep the team fed for an extra month or two, whatever.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately I had to call them and tell them, you know, I'm sorry you paid me twice. And yeah, I thought they might like let me keep it, but no, that was
Right.
No.
Yeah. Well, hey, I remember I was there. I think you were too when Sony gave out bonuses, and one guy, just like a junior artist, got like the bonus of someone else, but it was in his name, and he went home and deposited it, and his wife and him were thrilled. And then the next day, so it was like, you have to give it back. And if I was Sony, I'd be like, you know what, asshole. But anyway, Sony was
Well,
good to me.
when I was there and I left, this is one of the reasons I left. The bonus checks were like $300-400.
Oh, really?
So
Oh, well, that was you. You
yeah,
left before we became PlayStation, right? Yeah.
so there's possibly a theory here that I shouldn't have left at that time. Like I left
Sure.
right before it got good.
Oh, yeah.
But then I literally left and went right on to Die Hard. So
Yeah,
maybe that
look
was
at you
okay.
being more professional than me, taking it to the Die Hard level. Die Hard. Now let's talk about Die Hard. Let's talk about Die Hard Trilogy. I mean, you've made a bunch of games. Your most recent game from your studio, which is Argonaut. It's the
Croc.
Well, yeah, but it's the revision of Argonaut Studios. But yeah, it is the new Croc, or the remaster of Croc, which is doing pretty well on Metacritic, I know, and people seem to really like it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my code, haven't gotten it yet, but I'm sure I'll get it soon. And,
You just had to ask.
I did already.
Oh, oops, sorry.
Asshole.
I'll get you one.
No, but I'm happy for that success you guys are seeing. Now, was there a Croc 2, by the way, or there was never a Croc 2?
There was a Croc too, yeah. So it was really interesting story, right? Like Croc was really like the first 3D platform game.
Well, that would
And
be Bubsy 3D probably from Eidetic.
I think we were right before.
You really think you came out before I did? You did not.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, someone I'm sure in the chat will correct me.
I can almost guarantee you didn't, but continue, please.
I will be happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
And so Croc was a huge success.
Yeah.
And but also like game development back then was everything was a little scrappy, and they were kind of making stuff up as they went along. And there's no analog controller support because there was no analog controller, right? That DualShock controller came out like 2 weeks before Croc, so there is some support. Like Sony was like, you have to support this. Here's one, go.
Right.
So somebody worked for like a day, but we didn't know. Like today, there's thousands of games that use move with one stick, move the camera with the other stick, that kind of stuff. So they just threw something in, but everything was an experiment. And so it was a good game, but even more so thinking about the fact that they didn't know what they were doing. Like no one had ever done this before. Like it's like, hey, what if you jump onto this platform? Like where does the camera go? Should you point the camera down or ahead and so Croc 2 had a lot more refinements, and it had some a bunch of vehicle stuff, which was kind of neat. It didn't do as well, but it was a much better game. And I think part of the reason it didn't do as well was that now there was like 50 other 3D platform games had come out.
Well, it
And
kind of
so
also
suddenly it
suffered,
wasn't-
I think, from where we suffered with Mickey Mania, right? Which the character of Croc for that time was probably too young. Like it skewed a little. Like it never felt like what the PlayStation audience was into. It felt like it was very soft. I mean, we thought when we got the Mickey Mania license, we were going to print money. And we didn't realize, we came out when Earthworm Jim came out and Donkey Kong. It's like, dude, that's not the audience anymore, right? I mean, don't you look at it now
audience.
and what's that?
No, I think it hits, and also like the demographic for Croc was 60-70% female, because they just thought, he's cute. He's like a Pokemon. He's like, Pokemon before Pokemon.
That's fair. That's fair. That makes sense.
But also over time, PlayStation went younger and younger. Spyro was very young, and then there were a bunch of younger and younger. At the end of the life cycle, Sony was calling us and saying, "Please make games for kids." That's where PlayStation is now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do think that we suffered from the market changing a bit. And I say we. I mean, I wasn't there. I was an Argonaut back then. But yeah,
but it was a hit. I mean, it did well, and it's thought of very well by PlayStation fans. And it was Saturn as well, right? I think, or no?
The first one was PlayStation, Saturn, and PC, and then the second one I think they dropped. Saturn.
Right.
Yeah, I think that one was PlayStation only. And then every now and then someone comes up and says, there's a lost Dreamcast version, but I think it was like somebody spent a month or two on it.
Okay.
Now there's some news stories and stuff about it where they show screenshots. I think there was a build running on Dreamcast, but it's actually something we joke about, right? Is I want to go back and do the Dreamcast version. I just think it would be just super cool.
Yeah, I mean, Dreamcast. Look, I'm not a retro collector, but I love that there's still people making homebrew games for fucking the Atari 2600. The fact that
yeah, Dan and Gary Kitchen, who made 2600 games the first time around,
and
they're making
working
new
with David
games.
Crane,
Cool.
they're all their own little company, and I'm this, and they're probably right. They won't release those games digitally. They're like, no, you have to buy an Atari, right? Like I'm like, I would love to play their games, but I don't want to go buy the hardware, even though I love the new Atari yellow Pac-Man hardware that they just put out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's beautiful.
Those look amazing.
Yeah. But I'm just kind of like, can I just pay you to play the digital version? But so far, I guess that's not their business model. And I get it, but they probably would do well if maybe after 6 months they put it on PC, because I'd buy the shit out of those things. And to your point about Dreamcast, though, people are doing that, I believe, with Dreamcast as well. I think it's easier, I believe, to do it with carts, but
there's some guys in the UK that have like 10 or 15 Dreamcast games. Like they're just cranking them out. It's amazing.
That's pretty cool. People love the Dreamcast, man.
Yeah.
I thought Dreamcast was going to kick our asses when I went to that E3. I've told that story before, but it's like I went to the E3 where Dreamcast was going into its second year, and it was the launch or the reveal of PS2. So PS2 had all their, new shit that hadn't come out yet, like, Dynasty Warriors and whatever, and it was fine. But then you looked over at the Sega booth that was right next to the Sony booth, and it was like, oh my God, everything in there is amazing. But what we didn't realize was everything in there is amazing as an arcade game. But it's not amazing to take home for $49.99. And after a while, Space Channel 5, do I really want to play that, or do I want to play Metal Gear Solid, right? So that was a relief, because I was like, I'm going to have to get a new job, because I thought we were done. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I made a bunch of Dreamcast games.
I was crying, Mike, in the bathroom at E3.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no, I feel for you. But I did a bunch of Dreamcast games, and
which ones did you do?
I worked on the UFC game. I worked on Tokyo Extreme Racer, which was it was a Japanese import that we just translated. But there were some really high quality Dreamcast games. Like, it was an amazing system.
It was.
Power Stone, and what was that fighting game?
Power Stone was the shit, dude. Which one?
But what was the one that was a one-on-one
Virtual
fighting
Fighter?
Game? No, it was like, it looked like a PlayStation 5 game.
What?
I forgot what it was called, but it was some big Namco, maybe.
Soul Blade or Soul Edge or whatever, right? That one.
Something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that.
It wasn't that, but Soul something.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat will tell us, I'm sure. By the way, shut up, Eternal. He says Jaffe in the chat was a bit out of touch even back then if he thought Metal Gear Solid wasn't a mind-blowing system seller. Metal Gear Solid was on PS1. I'm talking about PS2. And PS2 had Metal Gear Solid 2, and that was not a launch title. So sit back down and listen to the grown-ups. Soul Calibur is what it was called. Soul Calibur. Yes. That's right.
That game was like 2 generations ahead. The Dreamcast was a good piece of hardware.
Well, you were at Sony. Well, you knew Shuji, right? Did you ever come across Shuji?
I think I had met him like once or twice. I think I met him after I had left.
Okay.
And he had been around, I think, in San Francisco, and I remember meeting him. He's at Sega now, right?
He's running Sega. He's the head of worldwide Sega. He was always such, and again, goes back to that thing of maybe he had to become an asshole or not, because he was always incredibly kind, sweet, nice guy. And I think he's, done a pretty fucking good job, getting Sega, up off the mat. I don't know where they're going, but they've been putting out some pretty decent games. Sonic Cross World Racing is great. The movies are doing well. Doesn't Sega still own Sega Sammy? Do they still own Creative Assembly or no? You don't know?
I think so. Like, honestly, I know nothing about like modern day Sega. It seems so different than what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. But okay, so but you say, you know what, I'm leaving. I'm going over and I'm going to make the Die Hard game. This is what I want to talk about a lot because I went back and played through. I didn't play through it. I couldn't finish it. I never could finish it, but I played it for a while. And let me just ask you. So the first question is on this game specifically. It's such a weird structure for a video game, right? I mean, where did this idea come from versus like, hey, let's make Die Hard 1 or let's make a new thing with John McClane. Where did this idea come from that we want to make 3 games and put them on a disc?
Yeah, I mean that's the big question. You know, when I had just joined, I just left Sony. You know, I left Sony to go to Fox, and I was actually excited to work on The Simpsons, which I actually, funny enough, never did.
Okay.
And the first thing they said was, "Hey, we got this Die Hard thing," and I was like, "Oh, cool. I think I've seen that movie." Like, you know, it wasn't like a big deal back then. And they said, "Look, we've got 3 games. Like there was basically like a marketing guy that was putting stuff into development. He was just throwing stuff out there. And so somehow he had made this deal to make 3 different games. And they said, hey, we've had this crazy idea to put them all together into one. What do you think?" And I was just like, you know, I want everyone to know they think that these decisions happen in a boardroom with like 12 people around a desk and a computer. Right. And I just was like, yeah, I don't know. That sounds cool. Let's do that. You know, I mean, that was it. That was the extent of the decision making, right? It was just like, sure, why not? And we had often had conversations about how it felt a little weird. Like,
but wait, they had the rights to make 3 games, or they had a deal that they were supposed to make 3 individual games.
No, Fox owned Fox Studios, right? Yeah. We were part of the movie studio, so they just owned Die Hard, and there was no director that had any pull. It wasn't like a Jim Cameron thing where he would come in and say, "This is what I want you to do." We never had any approvals or anything. And so they had these 3 things, but like I said, they were very unconnected, right? There's nothing you do in Die Hard 1 that affects Die Hard 2 or 3. Right. They're just if you don't know
the games, they are. Die Hard 1 is kind of like, it's way more advanced than Loaded, but it's kind of like a semi-isometric, over-the-shoulder shooter. You run around Nakatomi Plaza and go up different floors and set off bombs, and then Die Hard 2, right? And then Die Hard 2 is basically Virtua Cop. It's a light gun game, and Die Hard 3 is Crazy Taxi, but instead of picking up pedestrians, you're trying to stop the bombs from going off, right? I mean, they are 3 totally different video games that are tied together, linking the plots of the movies, I suppose. But yeah, so yeah, they don't affect each other. That's absolutely true. Yeah. And you'd think that would have been my first question. Then is why not? That's a good. I never even thought about it, but now you'd think, oh, if I do this in Die Hard 1, I could do this. I could get this pickup in Die Hard 2 or whatever.
Yeah. And we would talk about it. We'd say like, is it weird? And I would just say, like, look, we're doing something a little bit different. People seem to think it's a cool idea. We'd show it to the press, and they would say, wow, we're getting like 3 games for the price of 1. Like, we love this, right? Like, and I would say, you know what? Let's not fuck with it. Let's just put it out there and just see what happens. I think when they did Die Hard Trilogy 2, I think they tried to weave the levels together, right?
Right.
But and also, I will admit that, like, I'm a little bit like simple-minded. And I just thought, well, if we try to link them together, we're going to like extend the development a year. We're going to do all this, you know, we're going to have to experiment and come up with new ideas and things. But now we've got something that kind of works. Let's just ship it, you know. And we knew that it was fun, right? Yeah. We play it and go, wow, man, this is so good. Like, you know, and that isn't always the case when you're working on a lot of games. You play games and you go, oh man, this sucks. I can't wait to ship it and get it out of my life.
Right.
But no, we knew it was fun, and we showed it to the press, and they were like, this is amazing. You know, we love this. And so every now and then someone would say, like, should we connect the 3 games together? And we're like, nah, just get it done. You know, just get it out.
You should have gotten the voice actor just to go into a booth and say, you think that's cool? Wait till you hear what happened next. And then it plays, you know, come on, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's funny. And I do have, you said funny? Voice actor. I do have one.
Oh, yes.
People sometimes... They play the game. I don't know if I told the story last time, but they play the game and they say, "Oh,
but I have questions after you." I know. Yeah, please.
Well, people always go, "Oh, how'd you get Bruce Willis like to do the voice?" And I'm like, "We didn't." And what had happened was I hired Lonnie Minnelli, who's one of the most famous, most prolific video game voice actress and voice directors. And I just was like, Lonnie, handle this for me, right? Just do everything. Here's a script. Let me know when it's done. And I said, please just get me a guy that sounds like, like Bruce Willis. And she's like, oh, I got this guy. And she gave me the audition tape, and it sounded just like him. I'm like, oh, perfect. And the day before we're recording, Jamie Sampson, the big shot lawyer for Fox, for all the merchandise, she was the one that went after anyone that tried to infringe on anything. She was a shark. And she walked in my office. She goes, oh, I heard you're recording voices tomorrow. I said, yeah. No, we got a bunch of, just video game guys. And she goes, okay, cool. Just make sure the guy doesn't sound anything like Bruce Willis, please. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, why? Because, well, Bruce has a contract with the studio. He's a big shot actor. We want to keep him happy. And, like, his contract doesn't allow, for sound alikes. That would be a, massive thing. It cost the company, millions of dollars. You'd have to pay him out. And I'm like, okay, sure. Just making video games over here. And I call up Lonnie and I say, tell the guy not to, cheese it. Like, please, make a new voice. Don't sound like Bruce, whatever. And, 2 days later, it comes back and it sounds just like Bruce. And, I asked my boss, hey, what do I do? Like, Jamie told me not to do this. And he listened to it and he goes, oh man, that sounds just like him. Like, oh, we're fucked. And he goes, look, I tell you what, just don't ever let Jamie hear this. If she comes in your office, just tell her you have a call, run out crying, like whatever, just stay away from Jamie for a couple of months. And we shipped it, and people still come up to me sometimes and go, how'd you get Bruce? And I'm just like, yeah, no, it's not him.
Well,
so sometimes
I bet he'd like to be doing voiceover now. Jesus, Mike, don't say that. That's horrible. Horrible thing to say about Bruce Willis.
It was you.
I know.
No, it's very sad, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Of course. You told me about the Netflix show, right? There's a Netflix documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Which I need to watch. It's very sad. I'm kidding, of course. But okay, so on that though, I'm a little confused. Did you ever call back Lonnie and go, dude, I told you guys not to do Bruce Willis?
No, I didn't. It wasn't like, look, I was like 21, 22, I was not, I didn't really care.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Just figured, it was done. It was like a whole part of the thing. I needed to get it done. It was done. I was so happy I could move on to the next thing.
Now, I think your bigger controversy on voiceover is it's clear you had a white guy doing Samuel Jackson in the cab.
Oh, God.
And that guy was doing total 70s blaxploitation voice, which would be bad enough if it was a black actor, but it was a white guy probably, right?
So I don't know because I wasn't there, and I never actually questioned, and I should at some point call Lonnie, and ask her. But I will say, well, when it came, and it is very over the top, and you could almost say some of it's a little bit racist.
A little bit.
That's his character in the movie, right? His character in the movie is very I don't know what the word is. I certainly don't want to get.
Well, he's not racist, but that's the movie that opens or has Bruce Willis with the sandwich board using the N word.
Yeah.
And then Samuel Jackson goes out and he saves him. He's like, dude. And Bruce Willis isn't. Bruce Willis is like, if you don't do it, the bad guy says, I'm going to blow up the city, or something like that, right? So he has to do it. And he goes into Brooklyn with this sign, and Samuel Jackson comes out and he's like, "Dude, you're in the wrong part of town for that." And it wasn't as good as the first two movies, but it was fun. But anyway, though, the voiceover for him was a little out there.
We got it and we played it in the office, and everybody was just laughing so hard, and we're just like, you know what, this is awful. It's kind of racist, but it's funny. And I think I never got hate mail. I never got literally until you mentioned it. No one ever said they thought it was racist.
Yeah, sorry. But
it never even occurred to me that it might be a white guy. I don't know.
That guy could not be more white. That guy's as white as they come. He's probably an Irish lad. But anyway, the thing about when you say that though about no one ever mentioned it. The one thing that it does, Twisted Metal did this too. This is not a knock against any. This was the era. But when I was playing through it again, there's so much stuff that, and maybe it was because it was in more innocent time, because it never really would have occurred to us that, planes got hijacked, but we didn't have 9/11, or people would shoot people, but we didn't have mass shootings. And you play the airport scene now, and it's just like, it's too close to home. Or you watch the airplane at the end, if you fail, hit the ground and blow up, or all the innocents who get killed. I mean, I'm not like they should never make that today. I still think stuff like that's a lot of fun in entertainment. But do you think they could get away with that kind of stuff today, or do you think we're too living that?
I mean, it's interesting. You look at like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right? And they had the no Russian level.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to the guy who's designer on that, and like they had a lot of conversations internally, right? Like, is this okay? Should we do this? And I think they wanted to make it a little bit controversial, right? It was like,
sure,
hey, this is art. We're telling a story, right? And it wasn't for no reason, right? That was the Russians were doing it, and you were infiltrating, and it was a false flag thing to start the war. And I mean, so it made sense in the story. But in a lot of ways, Die Hard 2 is way worse than the no Russian level. You're literally setting people on fire.
Yeah. And but not only that, but it's done with such glee, just like it was in Twisted Metal. Like if you set people on fire in your game, at the end when you are putting your initials in, you know how it has all the people you've killed in a circle, and if one of them had been set on fire, there are just people standing there burning up. That you're, I mean, but it doesn't. It didn't play like that back then. It's like when you hit pedestrians back then, it's like, oh, I nailed her. I knocked her across the level, I don't know if that's tasteless anymore, or if it's like, dude, is it a we're just old thing, and that's what happens when you get old, or is it that society has revealed that it can be pretty fucking dark the last 20 years, and this shit is actually not just in the movies. I don't know. If you were to make it again, would you want that stuff in there, and do you think you could get away with it?
I think ultimately, I don't know the answer to that, right? But I know that ultimately, at the end of the day, it all came together in a way that was like a little bit extra violent, a little bit of blood here, people on fire, the racist voice acting.
And hell, you guys blew up the World Trade Center in that game.
Right.
People give me. You did. You did at the end of 3. The World Trade Center starts exploding. So
it had like a 93 or 94 Metacritic, right?
I'm not insulting it, Mike. I love the game. No.
What I'm saying is, could we do it again today? I don't know. Like, I think the world is a lot more politically correct. By the way, those little people, when you were saying you choose little people to put your initials in, I'm one of them. The heads on all of them are people from the dev team. So it's all the dev team in a big circle. When you make games, you can do fun stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
No, look, there's a story. I know I told you the story before. I'll just paraphrase it, but where I told the dev team to have blood on the windshield, and windshield wipers come out and wipe the blood away.
Yeah.
And they did it, and I was like, oh fuck, like I was kidding. Like, you can't do that. That's over the top. And we had all the world press, right? Guys from every country, France, Germany, Italy, America, and they saw it, and I said, we're taking this out. It's too much. And literally every one of them was like, no, it's so good. Please don't take that out, right? So, we even added more violence, and I think I do think that every now and then, like, there has to be some games that push things a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and I'm not trying to claim it's an art or that I'm an artist or anything like that. I'm just trying to make money.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I still, I am a very progressive guy. I am a very liberal guy, but I also like violence in movies. I like TNA in movies. We were watching, we did a horror festival on the channel last weekend, and it was amazing. We were watching like a movie from 1984 called Silent Night, Deadly Night. And there was just, anytime they could put tits in there, like, you don't get that in horror movies anymore. And it was just like, I'm running from the bad guy. Oops. My top fell open, I mean, it's just like any and every excuse, but it was so delightfully innocent and fun. And today everything is so much heavier that maybe we'll get back to that.
That was the genre. That was, I mean, you're right. Tits and horror went, hand in hand. Halloween, I just remember that was my favorite Halloween, right? And it was like every time, you're right. Like, I don't think any girl was ever murdered in that movie with her shirt on.
I know, it's
You
true.
know, it was
It
like, oh,
is
you're gonna die
true.
in this scene. Okay, get your clothes off. Let's go.
That's right. Wait, what?
You know, so
Uh,
now we never did that in Die Hard. So there
right.
were no
I know.
tits.
Yes. No tits in Die Hard. But okay, what is but by the way, I was going to say, I mean, and that's probably one of the reasons that my career, stalled out in a lot of ways in video games, because there was that period where that stuff, like when you're talking about the press, then they love the windshield wipers and shit, right? That was my bread and butter. I loved that mentality, and I still do, both as a creative and as an audience member. And now, man, they will not let you have those moments anymore. They for whether it's performative or real, or I'm sure that it's a lot of both, but it's a very different time, man. I mean, I remember we went to a PlayStation meeting where we were doing the Spawn game, not us, but PlayStation San Diego, and Spawn pulled people's limbs off, and then he started beating people with their own limbs, and the marketing team like stood up and clapped. Like, and they built the whole
Hey,
campaign around that.
I mean, I worked on Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of, oh shit, can we really get away with this? Like pulling a guy's head off and cutting someone in half and all the blood and gore. But and so obviously there were parents and there were congressional hearings and things. Like, people were pretty unhappy, but gamers don't seem to mind that much.
Well, gamers
And
understand that they're games. People, if you just watch them as movies, you're like, oh my god, this is horrible. It's like, it doesn't feel horrible when you're playing it. It's a different way of processing, I think, the data when
it
you're
doesn't.
actually...
I'm trying to think. There's some movie I saw recently where guys were getting cut in half, and I just remember going, "Oh, that's cool." And I mean, also as someone in entertainment, I sit there and I look at it and go, "Was that CG? Or was that a
Right.
model? Like, how did they do? How did they do that? Like, that was really good. Like, cutting people's heads in half and stuff." And it doesn't bother me. The only thing that does bother me now is I can't watch something with kids, right?
Oh,
Because now that
okay.
I have kids,
Yeah.
it's like if there's a kid being murdered, I'm just like, turn it off. It's not realistic.
No, I can still watch that too. We watched Terrifier 3 the other night on the stream, and it opens with the murder of like a little 4-year-old. It's like, that's Art the Clown, baby.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
No, I mean,
That's art.
I was watching Sicario, and he gets to the end, and he shoots the whole family.
The family.
It's like,
yeah. That was a great scene, though. It's a great scene.
No, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that was written by Taylor Sheridan, by the way.
I don't know. Who's Taylor Sheridan? I don't know who that is.
Yellowstone.
Right.
Landman.
Okay. Gotcha.
Fucking the thing with Zoe Saldana, which is amazing. It's like all of his shows are just like amazing.
Got it. Yeah,
So,
I've heard of Yellowstone.
it's his first thing. He went and he was like, I'm going to write a movie, and he wrote Sicario.
So here's what's weird to me about this. So when we were talking last week about this game, Die Hard Trilogy, I was surprised to hear it was not a massive fucking hit in America, because to me, everyone I knew was talking about this game. Everybody was playing this game. And then you were like, it didn't even sell 1 million, but it was a really big hit in Europe, which is so fucking weird to me, because this game is ugly, comparatively speaking. It's not a pretty game. It reminds me in some ways of Twisted Metal, right? Which is, Twisted Metal was always very rough around the edges, but it had a lot of heart and it was a lot of fun for people. But it never sold in Europe because they liked that sleek, wipeout kind of thing. And I look at this and I'm like, how did the Europeans embrace this? You'd think America would have gone apeshit over this. So talk about the sales and why you think that is.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a real easy explanation for that. I mean, first and foremost, it was a highly rated game, so it was going to sell anywhere, right? I mean, it was a little ugly because we pushed the envelope on like the number of characters on the screen and stuff like that. And the characters, by the way, like in Die Hard 2, they're flat. They're paper dolls, so they're not 3D models. They're like 3D models that were flattened, so it's a lot less polygons than it would be if they were real, which is kind of some neat tech. You'll notice they're always facing you. No matter where you go,
it's just like Doom, right? It's like sprites, basically.
Right. But it was very simple. I mean, really, in Europe, it was EA. And so EA put their marketing machine behind it, and it sold millions. In the U.S., Fox really didn't have any of that. They had a home video department that did VHS, and they basically handed everything to them and just said, "You guys are going to be doing the sales for our games." And the marketing guys were not from games. They just had a home video marketing guy that he was just kind of making it up as he went along.
Right.
There was no huge campaign. I think there was like a trailer on the DVD or something, which was kind of neat. We could do stuff like that because we were Fox. But really, the story is about how it sold what it should have in Europe, but in the U.S., I think it was a bunch of mistakes that were made and stumbles, and it just I mean, we could have had EA do it in the U.S. We probably would have done.
Oh God, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world now because it wasn't so much the content or the brand; it was just no one knew about it. I guess everyone I knew was talking about it because I worked in games, so we're playing everything, and everyone's like, "Have you played this fucking game? It's awesome." Did 2 do better?
Say, EA takes a lot of shit, for being whatever Madden, whatever thing people are mad at EA for. But back then, at least, they were the most professional organization, for game development and publishing that I'd ever worked with. I mean, these guys knew exactly what they were doing. I'd go over to Europe and meet with them, and it was like they were just on top of things. And I had the pleasure of working with EA a few times. You talked about 9/11. I have a story, doing a game where you're a terrorist, like during 9/11, and EA had to call me and say, we have some concerns.
Wait, this is after 9/11 happened, or it was about being a terrorist?
During 9/11, like we literally were in development and 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And it's like we had this game where it was a clone of Counter-Strike, basically, right? One team is the terrorists, one team is the counter-terrorists. And their bombs and airplanes and airports, and had all of the forbidden themes. And EA called me up and just were like, "We're gonna have to rethink everything because this is I got a letter from their legal department with a list of like 40 things we had to change. It was like if there were 30 things in the game, there were 40 things they wanted us to remove.
And that became Croc.
Oh, right. Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
That was called Global Operations.
Did it ever come out?
Like I said, it was. It did. It came out. We had to remove. There were certain levels. There was an airport we had to remove. There was a Northern Ireland level with the IRA, and I was summoned to a meeting with the head of EA Ireland or Northern Ireland, I guess. Sorry, I don't mean to confuse. Those are two different countries. And he sat me down and just said, "They will murder me. You can't. You have to change this." And we did. But, a bunch of the terrorist stuff, we had to be careful with some of the language and things like that. But we had to like beg, basically.
And that got published by EA, that game?
Yeah, it was co-published by EA. Like that was Crave, but Crave ran out of money.
Okay.
So we went to EA and said, "Can you guys, co-publish with us?"
Got it. Okay.
Great game. Right.
What is it called? I've never heard of this game. What is it called?
Global Operations. It was, it suffered. The biggest problem it had was it was LithTech engine, and LithTech was, I hate to, say this, but kind of a piece of shit.
Okay.
And we kind of got sold, I don't know, a bill of goods. I mean, there was some stuff in that engine that just didn't work the way we were told it would, and the team struggled with it quite a lot.
Can you still play it? Is it like on Steam or something, or no? You can't.
It's not on Steam. You can go and download it. I mean, there's like 100 people still out there playing it, so it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty cool.
The idea, I mean, just not to get off track here, but the idea was to make something like Counter-Strike, but with a lot more emphasis on team play. So every design element of the game was like, how do we make people play as a team better, right?
Right.
So there were things like the emote command system and things like that, and every member of the team, like the medic and the support guy, like you all had roles that you could basically win around without shooting anyone because you were the medic, things like that. So it was a good game. But really what it suffered from was EA, And Crave had no money, and EA didn't own it, so they didn't want to put money in. We didn't want to put money in, and then the game shipped, and there was no post-ship support, which a multiplayer game needs. So
right, okay,
I was into that.
All right. Well, okay. Well, that makes sense. The Europe thing, I appreciate that now because it didn't make any sense. I'm curious about this though. When you said when you got there were 3 games, were there 3 teams? Were they making them all at the same time? Did they make like game 1 and then they put that aside and said, now we're going to work? And how did the production itself for a 3-game single game work?
And that was absolutely something that I had to help them fix a little bit. It was one team, and they were basically trying to do 3 things at the same time, which is a little problematic.
Right.
There were 2 programmers that didn't even have, there wasn't even one programmer per game. And one guy was a guy named Simon Pick, who's probably the smartest engineer I've ever worked with. And he wrote the core 3D engine, and he was writing, I think it was Die Hard 3. And then there was a more junior guy who was I think he was writing Die Hard 1 using the tools and engine that Simon wrote. And I think when I got there, I was like, hey guys, you're literally trying to do, it was like on one day they'd work on Die Hard 1 and the next day they'd work on Die Hard 2. And it was like, this isn't going to work. So I think we made some changes. I think we added a couple of people to the team. But it essentially was one team.
Making 3 different games.
Yeah. And look, back then, today, this is 800 people at Ubisoft, right, making this game. I think it was like 10 people. Well,
yeah,
12, something like that.
What was the budget? Was it probably under $1 million or $1.5 million or?
Yeah, I think it was like 800K, something like that.
Crazy days.
And the dev kept asking for more money, and this is also a thing like where I'm a little bit, I don't feel good about this, but it's the way we did things back then was like, you signed a contract. This is the contract. Good luck. This is on you, right? Like today, a developer might ask for more money and you give it to them.
Yeah.
And we just were like, no, like, you better get it done or we're going to sue you. And so they were like a year late and they were eating the cost. It was Probe, who got bought by Acclaim, and it was run by a guy named Fergus McGovern, who's also sadly passed away. And so they just kept going. And I'd go down there and say, hey, here's 10 things I want to add. And what they should have done was said, no, like, you're not paying us more money, we're not doing shit. But they just kept adding stuff.
Right.
And we kept polishing. We play the game and say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had this? Or could the guns do this? Or, we just kept adding stuff. And on the Fox side, they would say, we don't care. Like, we don't care when this ships. We just want it to be an A+ game. And that's probably the only time in my career I've had that.
Who was saying that? Fox Interactive or like above them? Because it sounds like you guys were an afterthought to Fox Studios.
Yeah, we were not even an afterthought. There was no thought. I mean, yeah, Fox Interactive was like a very small team. There was a president, a guy named John Richmond, and he reported to the head of the studio, Bill Mechanic. And Bill, he had bigger fish to fry,
Right.
They're making movies for $100 million. What do they care about our $800,000 Die Hard?
Right, right.
They cared about was don't piss off the talent, right? And I think they saw us as a way to make the talent happy, because Jim Cameron would come and say, "Why is there no Titanic game?" And they call us up and say, "You guys got to go do something with Titanic right now." That was our green light process. Was they would tell us, "You have to do this because Jim is so important to us." And the number one Googled female actress was at the time was Sandra Bullock.
Oh, okay.
And
a speed game would have been awesome. Come on,
I think
man.
we were doing a speed game. I think that was like the last thing I was working on when I left.
Yeah.
And it got turned into something else. I think it got turned into Die Hard or something like that. So they would call us up and say, look, whatever Sandra wants. Like, if she wants a game, we make a game. Just do whatever, And so we got a call to have her dad wanted to come in for a meeting. And we thought he was going to come in and pitch a game or something, Sandra stars in an action game or whatever.
Okay.
He actually came in and pitched field repair manuals for military vehicles.
Pitched it as a game?
Not a game, but like a CD. You could put the CD in and it would show you how to repair a Bradley, an Abrams tank or something.
And
we were all
became Croc.
That became Croc, yeah.
Right, I understand.
But we're all just sitting there like, what is going on? I mean, only second to the.
Oh wait, what did you say? What did you say? Did you piss off Sandra Bullock, or did you say, "Yep, we're making it"? I mean,
I think I personally had no say in the matter. I think someone above me said, "This is kind of cool. We'll get back to you," or something like that. Like probably somebody said, "This isn't really what we do. That we make games." Right. So I don't know.
Interesting.
But
Speed would have been cool. Yeah, you guys had a lot of good stuff. You had Independence Day, you had Speed, you had Aliens.
We did Independence Day.
Yeah, and you worked on an Aliens game. You worked on Alien Extract. What was the Alien game you did?
Well, no, I worked on 2 Aliens games. When I was at Fox, my second project was Alien versus Predator, right? The
original one.
Yeah, and that was interesting because that was Rebellion, who are a great team.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Sniper Elite games. They're like, I will play every one of those on day one.
Mm-hmm.
But they were at that time, they were like 10, 12 people, kind of figuring out the transition from 2D to 3D, and it was a bit of a disaster. It was a really tough project, and there were some great ideas though. And I left, and a guy named Dave Stalker took over, and like the first thing he had to do was go fly over and like sit there with them for 3 months, and get the game into a better place. And then we always joked about doing an RTS, like, Aliens would be a great RTS. And then like 6 years later, I landed at this independent studio called Zono, and they were doing it. It was Alien versus Predator Extinction.
Extinction, right? That's the one. That's not Extraction.
It was Aliens, Predators, and Colonial Marines were the 3 factions. It was basically.
Did this come out? Because I think I played this at like a trade show or something. This was out, right?
Yes, 2 original Xbox, and that's it, and not PC. And we kept saying to them, we have the PC version running. It's an RTS. It should be on PC.
Right.
And this guy, who I will not name, looked at me and he said, dude, if we wanted to do a PC game of Alien versus Predator, we would just call up Blizzard and have them do it for us.
Yeah, I'm sure Blizzard would do that.
But I believe Blizzard had a button that they would press that would just say "fuck you" and hang up the call, right?
That's right.
So we never did it.
Yeah.
I think I actually have the source.
Really?
But
cool.
we played it. Like we'd sit there and play it on PC, and we would just say, "Hey guys, we just need like a month to wrap this thing up and ship it." But that was a great game.
But wait, but you were not you were no longer at Fox, so you couldn't demand that. You were now at this this other company.
I was the developer working with my old buddies at Fox.
Yeah.
And yet it was again, Fox, it's like everywhere I go, that Fox had decided to get out of games, and they did a co-publish deal with EA.
Yeah.
And so EA shipped it. It sold 600,000-700,000 units, I think.
That's awesome.
It's a pretty neat game. Just from an RTS standpoint, like each faction had its own resource system, and like the Predators, you had to earn honor. The Aliens, you had to get dead bodies to like impregnate with alien eggs, and the Marines just would mine something, and they had some kind of like an energy collection mechanism. A lot of fun. The fans hated us.
Why?
The fans, because the fans were like, there's only one Predator. You can't have a team of Predators. There's only one. It's like, okay, well, it's a game. We had to have more than one Predator. And then on the alien side, we made all these new aliens. We had a queen, we had a king, we had this Praetorian alien, we had like 8 different aliens because you had different units, right?
Right.
And they were like, this isn't canon. You can't do this. Those aliens don't exist. How dare you? Who are you? And I just say, well, look, I mean, Fox they own this. They made this. Like, it's them. And they said it was okay.
The fans never change, do they? It's always the same. It's the communication mechanism is different, but it's the same goddamn shit. It's like, fuck you, motherfucker. The goddamn Predators now, there's a whole fucking planet of them. If you watch the current,
Exactly. Yeah, it's all changed now. But like, I'd go into the forums and just tell everyone to fuck off.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, you guys are assholes. You don't know what you're doing. Like, we're making a game. Like, I think I told one guy like something about living in his mom's, basement, and the team would always come in there like, Mike, please, can you please stop pissing off our fans?
See,
please?
You did a good job of growing up. I never did. You actually seem much more professional now. But yeah, I remember that Mike Arkin.
But that's your takeaway from that story?
Yeah. I'm like, how did he get to
Okay.
that?
All right.
You know, because to me, I still tell the fans to fuck off because, you know, not all of them, but a lot of them can be fucking morons. But what I learned, though, Michael Arkin, is there was a letter that, because a lot of times you look back and say, oh, it wasn't like this before the internet. There was a letter that you can find on the internet that the Star Wars fan club, this was like in 1980, they wrote all their members and they're saying, we're disbanding because we have seen Empire Strikes Back and this is crap. And this is not what Star Wars is supposed to be. And it's supposed to be this adventure and whatever. And I'm reading it going, oh my God, it's the internet before the internet. But it's like, how can you shit on Empire Strikes Back, you morons? But alas.
That's insane.
Yeah. You can find
it's comic book guy, right? Worst episode ever.
That's exactly right. But yeah, you do seem healthier as an adult. What happened? What made you say, I'm going to stop being caustic and the guy who goes into the forums and kicks the hornet's nest? What was that?
You know, I think you asked me this question last time I was.
I'm fascinated by it because I'm sad because I'm running out of, you know, people in my army that are like me. The older I get, the more people mellow, and I don't, and I'm very bothered by it.
I think you have an unhealthy obsession with my maturity, and I'm a little disturbed by it.
You should be.
You know what, Dave? I mean, look, when I got fired from Acclaim because I was an asshole, and you know, I got fired from Activision because I was fairly incompetent, and I think that each one of those things. I know they're different things, but I think each one of those affected me in a way, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, maybe I should not be an asshole, right? Like I didn't want to get fired. I really wanted to, you know, I worked there for 5 years. I was the first, you know, development employee. I was the 7th overall employee of Acclaim. I wanted to stay there for 20 years, right? Like that was a good gig.
Yeah.
Like, because I was the man. Like people would come to me and ask me how to get stuff done, right? And so I think, you know, I took that a little bit away from that. And I think, you know, there was some time years later, I had people that would, when I was at Crave, they sat me down and said, you'd be a lot more effective if you weren't an asshole. And so we talked about that a bunch, and they hired a very, very like high-end professional, you know, like management consultant to mentor me to be less of an asshole. And he actually ended up sexually harassing all the female employees, and they sued the company and won for like $50 million.
Well,
so that didn't work out exactly how they thought it would.
Right.
But I mean, I think, you know, like those things, I want to be successful. And I've found you can be more successful by like treating your employees well and always.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm talking more about like going onto the forums and being a bit of a, you know, you were, and I don't want to break your heart here, but you were the Martin Riggs of video games. That's what the lady said. You were the wild card. You were writing checks your body couldn't cash back in the day.
You know what? I think that's a great. I've never been labeled the Martin Riggs. It was always the Adam Sandler of game development. But
really,
I feel like I'll take Martin Riggs every.
I was going to say I would take Riggs. I mean, I love Sandler, but I would take Martin Riggs for sure. But let me. When
you think the people watching know what that means? That's Lethal Weapon. Kids,
I don't really care. I was on a stream the other night, and I was telling somebody that they were like an abused wife. This is how I've had to change my life, Mike, to fit in on YouTube. And I still don't really fit in. And so I says that to him, and I'm about to make an Ike Turner, Tina Turner reference. I'm like, they're not going to get that. So I'm like, on the fly, this is how good I am. On the fly, I changed to Rihanna, Chris Brown, and that fucking joke killed. They totally got it. But if I would have said, and I even said, I was going to say Ike and Tina Turner, and they just said, they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Don't worry about it. You know, but you.
For the record, I've never hit Rihanna, so.
Fair enough. You will. She's obnoxious. But come on now. Look.
Dude, like you, I had some kids, you know, right? Like that makes you grow up real fast. Somebody handed me a baby and was like, this is yours.
The babies.
You know, it's like, okay, I think it's time to be an adult.
They're delightful though. Aren't they wonderful? What delightful little creatures. Shut up.
A little bit.
But
between like 6 and 10, I think.
No, I don't know. Look, I'm not going to say anything. I can just say that you were telling me about one of your children the other day, and they sound pretty fucking impressive. So I think that's you did pretty good. He did pretty good.
My son is a video game savant, and I love that for him.
Does he want to make games, or he doesn't know yet? Or is he? I mean,
he's 10. He wants to eat ice cream.
What is he playing?
But he when he was like 3 or 4 or something, he started playing Mario, and he whipped through every Mario game. He would just sit there and just play them start to finish, and so he's played every Mario game ever. I tried to get him to play Super Mario World on the SNES, and he was like, "Oh, this is too hard. I don't play this."
Yeah.
So I failed there, but he plays a lot of Gorilla Tag.
Of course.
Because he's 10, and that's what they do. And he was playing a lot of Fortnite, because that's, again, what all the kids do. I'm really excited he started playing Subnautica.
Oh, cool.
Which is a great game. And I was just excited that he's playing a real game.
He's mostly PC then, right?
He's got a PS5. He plays a lot on that. And, Gorilla Tag, he's taken my Oculus, my Quest, and I never got it back. But he just recently was like, I want a PC. I want to play some games on PC. So, I hooked him up with a PC so he could do that.
It's cool. It's cool to watch how different, I assume that's just the nature of being in any industry and time passing. But I don't imagine if you made movies in the 50s and then you saw movie making in the audience in the 70s or 80s, there would be a lot of things that were different, but the fundamental aspects still seem like they stuck. But I look at games now, for everything from you're talking like how much Die Hard cost, to the fact that so many of us were just winging it, to the fact that kids today are no longer, it's all PlayStation or it's all Nintendo. It's like they're playing all kinds of different systems and things.
Honestly, I think winging it is such an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just a bunch of kids, and some of it was just everything was a unique invention.
Yeah, right? It wasn't like anybody knew to tell you no, because they didn't know either, no matter how old they were.
And some things we did failed miserably, right? Like there were lots and lots of just games we made and just were shit. And then every now and then you'd make a Die Hard, where I worked on Battlezone, which was like, it wasn't a commercial success, but people still play it and they love it, and we did things that had never been done before.
Battlezone was also the first game, not the original, of course, but Battlezone. The biggest claim to fame of the remake was that you could do RTS and go down into the tank, right? So it was like first person and up top.
I think the big thing about it was that you could get out of the tank, and then you had a sniper rifle,
right?
And if another tank was coming at you from the other team, you could snipe the pilot in that. You shoot him in the head,
right?
And he would die, and you could run over and jump in his tank and steal his tank.
It's like GTA before GTA.
It was Grand Theft Tank, I guess. Yeah. And we did a remaster of that, and there's a whole community that's still playing it, and they're super passionate. So, but again, that's 2 out of 200.
Yeah.
And for every one of those, I worked on some games that just made me cry. I can't believe they made me ship this.
Right. What's the worst one that you just?
I don't even know. I mean, a lot of the stuff I worked on at Acclaim was just, shovelware.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, we did a game at Crave. They really wanted a PS2 launch game, and there was a game in Japan called Jet Ion GP, and it was kind of a Wipeout clone, but very, very poorly executed.
Okay.
And Sony US was like, no, you can't ship this. We don't want you to resubmit it. Please don't work on this anymore. Don't call us again and ever mention this game to us.
Right.
And it was just so awful. I mean, I played it and I was like, please, this is, but they really wanted a launch game, and they shipped it in Europe because you're allowed to ship anything in Europe. So.
Right. How did it do? I mean, hey, this was the days where, if you remember, like every game that shipped on the N64, no matter what it was, did 1 million copies. There was like 13 launch titles, and every single one.
PS2.
Not PS2.
Not
right.
PS2. I mean, I think it sold a couple of thousand. Like I really don't think it sold very well. And I literally was in a stream or something, and I said I worked in this game that was so awful, blah blah blah. And someone said, "Oh, you must be talking about Jedi on GP." And I was like, "Oh shit, it's."
Yeah.
Actually, by the way, I worked on NES Total Recall based on the movie Total Recall,
Sure.
and it was such an awful game that for years people would write articles about how this was the worst NES game of all time.
Yeah.
And there was this guy Sean Baby who was like a
Oh yeah, I know.
guy
EGM.
or something.
Yeah.
And he kept writing these articles. He'd call me out by name, and I was like, yeah, "Come on, dude! Like, it's like a weird, He like at one point, I think I texted him, and I was like, "Dude, come on, get over it, whatever." And then he immediately, like next month, wrote an article in EGM that was like, "Oh, this game's so bad. Mike Arkin called me and told me to stop writing about it." And I was like, "Come on,
That's
dude!
awesome.
Like seriously, like
that was his shtick,
it.
though. You're a celebrity. Sean Baby was picking on you. That's pretty good. Hey, you also worked at Image Soft. You had some stinkers there. Just like look.
Ugh.
I don't know if you remember Cliffhanger for the for the Game Boy. That's probably one of the worst games ever made.
That was absolutely before me. I worked on. I shipped one game in the time that I was there
because
I worked on
2
that got finished. No, I worked on a bunch of stuff that got canceled because I was like, this is garbage. We need to cancel it.
Okay.
But I shipped Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Sega CD, developed by Psygnosis, which was a very prestigious team. And in the same room, they were developing No Escape, based on the Ray Liotta movie, No Escape. And No Escape was finished, and they just tossed it. And Frankenstein was so bad, and Sega CD was dying, they made a 2-pack with Dracula. So it didn't even ship by itself. It was like a 2-for-1, Frankenstein and Dracula.
Yeah.
But it shipped. I think I have a copy of it somewhere. So, I was not doing anything interesting. I thought I went there to work on PlayStation games, and was I surprised?
I'm surprised you even that they had even announced PlayStation when you got there, but I guess they probably had. It was right in that little blend.
They had, and if you remember, like they were in like the same building on a different floor, and we weren't allowed. And they had the first dev conference, and they wouldn't let me go. They said, "Oh, no one from Sony can go to the dev conference. We don't want people to think we're giving you guys favoritism."
Okay.
So.
Okay, so when you were at Fox, did you know a guy named, I may have already asked you this, Chris Miller?
Chris Miller was a QA guy, and after like a year, I promoted him to be my AP, actually. So he worked on Die Hard. He worked on Independence Day. Chris is a great guy, like really fun to work with. He's an a cappella singer.
Yeah.
He had, he did a bunch of interesting stuff afterwards. Actually, he works with Rebellion still.
Okay.
As like a creative director over there. And it's funny. I mean, I'm kind of an asshole, right? But I remember we called Chris into the office, like with the head of development, and I said, "Chris, I know you were hoping to get a promotion. We really wanted to do that for you. We were gonna promote him to like lead tester or something."
Okay.
I said, "I'm really sorry. The lead tester thing just didn't work out." And he was kind of like, "Oh man, damn, I was kind of, needed the extra money, whatever." And I had already made the business cards. I handed him the business cards that said associate producer. I said, "Yeah, it didn't work out because we decided to make you an associate producer." And he was like, "What? Oh, you fuckers."
That's cool. That's great. He's a good guy. I asked because he's the guy who, there's a character in Twisted Metal 2 called Axel, who's kind of a well-known character in that brand. And he came to me once, and he really kicked off the thought of Axel, because he said, "What if you took, like you go to the circus and they have the cage with the motorcycles in it that go round and round and round." He's like, "Take that and put it between 2 giant wheels." And I'm like, "That's really cool." Okay. And then I'm like, well, let's make it just a dude, right? So we kind of did it together. But he was always blisteringly creative. I loved working with him. But I was wondering if y'all's paths crossed. Clearly they did.
That's right. I forgot he was at Sony, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a tester at Sony.
I think he followed me to Fox. I think like he, like maybe he reached out because I left when they moved to Northern California. I think he didn't want to move. He had a wife. Yeah, that's crazy. I totally forgot about that.
Die Hard.
All I remember from Twisted Metal was the girls in bikinis in the office.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a different time. I mean, it was really a different time because they were coming in and auditioning, and all the producers, most of which were male, had their noses pressed up against the glass conference room looking. And I can't believe that nobody from HR
We were all just walking back and forth.
Yeah,
It was just
I can't.
back and
Nobody from
forth.
HR said, "What are you doing?" But I mean, it was. It's so. I have to assume that people today, maybe it's just being
Did one
20.
girl take her top off, Dave?
Probably. If I had anything to say about it, I don't know. I don't think so. I think one girl started to, and we said, no, we don't need to. You know, we were professional about it. We weren't like, you know, we were literally, they were going to be in bikinis
Right.
in the movies, so we were like, you know, what do you look like, you know? But it wasn't meant to be that beyond that. But I wonder if it's just being young, because I imagine if you're making games today in your 20s, you have to also feel that it's fly by the seat of your pants, maybe, but. Because I don't want to be one of those old guys that just tells stories of the good old days and it sounds so much different, but it really was so much fucking different. And some of that was bad, right? I mean, some of it, like you said, you got the guy who came over as a consultant and ended up being a sexual harassment creep, right? I mean, it's good there's a lot of things that are different, but it also did feel more like they just gave you money and said, figure it out because we don't know what the fuck this is. And there was fun in that, I think.
Yeah.
Do you like it more now, or did you like it more then? Because you're still really actively making games. I mean, you have companies and everything.
I mean, it's different, and obviously I've kept up with things. It was, I mean, we were just a bunch of kids, you know, and like there was, I mean, it was a different political climate. Like, you know, when I worked at Acclaim, everyone was dating everybody, and there was like wild parties and drinking in the office, and you know, and then obviously years later, like that isn't as prevalent.
Yeah.
And there's a dark side to it. There was a lot of behavior that I think would be considered very illegal, you know, sexual harassment or whatever nowadays. At the end of the day, I mean, I just want to make games.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I like it the way it is now because I'm in a better place.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I have a little bit more control over my destiny, right? As an independent, on one hand an independent developer, on the other hand an independent publisher. So I have a lot more say over what I'm going to do.
What about I have some more Die Hard stuff, but I want to ask you because it dovetails into that about AI. A lot of people are, you know, I don't know if a lot of people, but a lot of people online don't seem to like AI being used to develop video games. I know my take on it, but as somebody who's making games actively, what's your take?
This is going to get me in trouble. I'm going to be careful how I respond to this. I mean, look, I mean, I think it was it Carmack? It was Tim Sweeney that basically said, don't even label it because, you know, in 10 years, every game is going to have. And I think however many games are labeled AI, I think 10 times as many have stuff in there.
Right.
And every artist is using Photoshop. And there's like you know, hey, I'm filling in a background. There's a button that'll do a little bit of the work for me. Why shouldn't the artist press that button? Right? I mean, and people freaked out when we went from hand-drawn art to Photoshop, or people freaked out, you know, anytime there was any innovation. 10 years from now, everything's going to be AI of some kind. Does it mean that there's going to be less artists? No, I just think there's going to be artists that are using tools that help them get things done.
Yeah, and there may be different talents needed to be someone that gets that done, but I'm sure you know. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't have a problem with it.
Stuff. Look at the video stuff. I mean, as a Star Wars nerd like me, there's a whole channel where the guy makes these hysterical stormtrooper videos, right, where they're just doing like goofy pranks and stuff.
Oh, I watched the serious one. I haven't seen this one you're talking about. That sounds great too.
I haven't seen it for a while, but there's one where it's like some stormtroopers and they're like, oh, you know, hey, we're gonna go down there and prank Darth Vader or whatever, and then it cuts to the guys like running, you know, and it's all just goofy shit. And there's one where they're like on the planet, you know, on Endor with the Ewoks, and all kinds of crazy stuff is happening, and it's 100% AI. And you just go, hey, there's a guy out there who's able to like express his creativity.
Yeah.
That he couldn't. He's not a 3D modeler, and he's not a, you know, doesn't have that ability. So it's not, I don't think that's taking away from an art team, because this dude in his basement making these AI videos didn't have the ability to hire an art team.
No, but there will come a
stuff.
point though where it will, it will be like, well, I don't really need to hire. 10 years ago, I would have hired somebody to make my movie or my game. Now I'm not. But I mean, that's like you said. I mean, that's progress. What are you going to do? Just as long as it's legal, and I know that there are some issues there. I get that. I get the complaints over the need.
There's some very complicated issues that lawyers will spend 10 years figuring out, and everybody will be unhappy. But like, look, I know a team that made a game, and they made the whole game with a giant art team, and they had some little talking heads, and they trained their own Gen AI model to take those talking heads and animate the lips and all that. And they were able to create a bunch of content that they would not have been able to create without that. And that's the future. That's what we're going to see. Every engineer on the planet is using Copilot to give them assistance.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, a lot of programmers are like, "What? How do you do that thing again?" And instead of Googling, now they're just going to be like, "Hey, Copilot, write me a function that does this." I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. I don't really even think that. I don't even really think it's going to affect sales. I think it's a tempest in a teacup on Twitter, and I don't think most people give a shit, frankly. If you're going to give them something fun, like, do you really think the people who go out and buy Madden or even Call of Duty, which I know isn't doing as well this year, but a lot of the complaints are, they made some of the calling cards that you get, that when you kill somebody, it appears at the bottom like, Mike Arkin killed you. 99% of people playing, don't give a fuck that AI made that calling card. They're just like, hey, I got a new calling card and it's got a dragon on it. Fucking cool, man. Right?
And I don't want to trivialize the people that believe this stuff. There are absolutely people online that are like, I will not buy any game with AI.
Oh, no, I know.
It is morally offensive. My daughter, by the way, does not want to learn any of the tools. She thinks it's morally offensive. It's stealing. But at the end of the day, it's it's a vocal minority. I mean, there's a controversy around ARC Raiders.
Oh, yeah, which is crazy.
Some VO. Now, they did it a very ethical way. They paid the actors for the work. I know the AI did the bulk of the work. There was another, what was it, like that Obscura 33 game?
Yeah, there's some controversy there because there's clearly some stuff in there that they used. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I think you're right about the lawyers going to take some time. But I do think, I don't want to see anybody, the theft is something I think most people agree with. But I also think that the solve to that is to regulate and solve that, so the artists who actually their work is being trained on don't get fucked. But that's a different issue. Let's make that the complaint. Where's the regulation? Where are these people who are getting paid?
I mean, it'll happen. It'll just take a bit. I mean, look, and you mentioned Croc about 9 times. If you read the reviews for Croc, every now and then there's someone that says, "Oh, this game is a bunch of AI slop," whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we didn't use AI. There's no AI tag in Steam because we didn't use AI.
Why would they say that?
We
then?
didn't
what are
have
they talking
to use.
About?
I think they have this idea that the whole game is we used AI to up-res the art.
Okay.
We did take the original art and we did use tools that allow you to up-res art,
right.
And a lot of it was cleaned up by hand by an artist. And the characters themselves, we do some poly smoothing. That's not AI at all.
But it is AI.
Stuff.
Everything's AI, right? I mean, everything's code, and it's saying, here's an algorithm to clean up your textures. Whether the average person doesn't know or care, but even these people complaining, it's like, oh, well, that's okay. It's like it's the same fucking thing almost.
It's not Gen AI.
Right.
Nobody wrote a prompt. I mean, it's not art that was trained. The poly smoothing stuff that we got from Pixar is algorithms that make new polygons to smooth out a shape. I mean, that's stuff that they've been using in movies for 20 years or whatever. Yeah. But that's not Gen AI at all. But people it's the new buzzword. AI slop.
I can't.
That's what they just call everything. My kids are going to be like, I don't eat this food. It's AI slop.
That's right. You'll fucking eat it. Eat the cake, anime. Why couldn't you say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker? You wanted to.
Yeah, no.
Was it ever a discussion or no?
We could have.
So it wasn't even a discussion.
I don't think so. I think, why didn't we write it? I can't even remember. Didn't we write it as like mother effer or
No,
something
he
like
just says
that? Or,
yippee ki yay, yippee ki yay.
I think, yeah. I mean, maybe I wish we had done that. Maybe if we do a remaster,
There you
we'll
go.
we'll have it just be like,
Is there any talk
fuck,
of a remaster? I mean, let me. I
fuck.
want to talk about that because I mean, Terminator 2 just came out, which has some ups and downs. There's some good stuff to say about it. Clearly made by people who love the movie. The Indiana Jones game came out last year. Really great game.
Yeah,
The
that
Die
game
Hard
killed.
movies, unless they get a new John McClane, which they probably will in time. But, I mean, you'd think, has there ever been, or are you aware of any talk about somebody going, hey, let's either remake Trilogy or let's make a new Die Hard game, or you're not really privy to those conversations?
I mean, there's two things I can say. Like, all right, excuse me. As the original producer, I would love someday to find the source code, and we've looked for it, and do a straight from source remaster like we did with Battlezone, like we did with Croc, Blood Rain. I would love to do that. I think it would be really neat to go back in and clean up the art and make the models full 3D and all that stuff. I would love to make a new Die Hard trilogy just from scratch. I think I would love to take all the ideas, and the kind of the mentality that we use to make that game and do it. I would love to do that. I'm not like doing it right now, FYI. And who knows what happens in
who
the
would you
future.
need to speak to? Just you go to Fox and say, can we license this, or go to a publisher with the money? And
I mean, I think Argonaut. We have some priorities. We're constantly asked about certain games in our history that we want to work on. I mean, there's people are asking all the time about Buck Bumble, and people are asking us about
Bug
I Ninja,
Bumble,
which
come
also
on, do the song, Mike, do it.
I don't know the song. I know
You
the
don't
song is
know?
very popular.
Oh, the song is the best. We used to love that
I
at
think it's
Sony.
not a remaster, but there's going to be a
Okay.
little bit of Buck Bumble news coming
Okay.
up.
Okay.
And I think we've got our hands full. There's a couple of non-remasters that we want to do. Everyone's always asking us about Star Glider. Can we please do something with Star Glider? I'm also really involved in a game called Vice Undercover. I don't know if you know that one, Dave,
I
or not.
don't.
I can
What
get
is
you
that?
code if you want to play it.
Yeah. 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 Is it out
So
already?
Vice Undercover, there's a guy named Cos Lazarus who I worked with at Fox,
Okay.
an extremely creative guy. He ended up working as a side gig on the Buffy TV show.
Okay.
He's an extremely talented artist, so he did a lot of concept art for Buffy and for what was the other guy? Not Buffy, the Angel.
Angel. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He did some of that, and he's Vin Diesel's game guy for like 15 years.
Okay. Okay.
So Vin has there was a game production company that this guy Cos ran for years, and he has so many stories. I mean, I've told you this before. You should get Cos on your show just to talk about working with Vin and the crazy, crazy things that he did working with Vin. He also worked for Halcyon, who bought. Speaking of
Yep.
Terminator, they bought Terminator, so he worked on the I think it was Terminator Salvation game.
Okay.
Um,
I'm putting up. I'm
and
putting up Vice Undercover right now on the screen because it's cool looking. I never heard about it, but there's a demo out right
yeah,
now.
so it's this 80s kind of Miami Vice, like drug lord kind of theme, and you're trying to. It's all like on a computer screen, very similar to the game The Operator. So it's this alternate past where there was the internet in the 80s, and you're trying to basically infiltrate, Colombian drug cartels, and it's super creative. I mean, Cos is such a creative guy. So you go into this office and you go undercover and do like computer hacking, and it's done as episodes, and so
Okay.
you're not like sold separately episodes, but like there's like different episodes of the story, and it's a pretty neat game. We invested in that company, and we're trying to help him get it finished. Dave, if you want, one of the cool things about the computer is most of the people because you search through databases, they're all real people.
Okay.
So I'm in there, and what
Ooh.
Cos does is he took me, and he gave me like a mullet and like a leather jacket. He made me more like an '80s character.
Nice.
And so we've got a lot of real people in there, and we've done some contests, I
I
think, where
wanna
we've
be in the
let
game.
people be in the game.
I wanna be
So
in the
Dave, if you
game.
want,
I
you send me
want.
some pictures. We'll put
Tell
you
me
in.
exactly what you need. Here, I'm putting the trailer up
In
while we're
fact,
talking.
In fact, Dave, I'm going to make an offer here live on the
Okay.
internet here in front of your 6 or 7 followers.
Let me
that are
tell you
watching
something,
this.
all right? That's why this channel is the best channel on YouTube. Because could I go to the director of Arc Raiders? Sure, but you're more interesting. I give them better content.
Actually, I'd like to see that guy, by the way.
Shut up. Now,
Yeah,
here's
that
the
was a
question.
mistake,
It looks
by the way.
great, though. I mean, I like games like this.
So, but if you want to get like some of your, I don't know if you have your Patreon, you have like your top guys.
Yeah, I got
If
top
you
guys.
wanted to give it away,
I
or
have guys.
do like a, I don't know, like a raffle or something, you want to get like 5 or 10 people into the game, we'll do that for you.
I would love that. They would love that. I will talk about it on the show Monday.
In fact,
but I want to
I'm gonna
be in
let
it.
you-
It's got to be. It's more about me. I want to be in it.
We're going to put you in it, and if you want, we can also make a mission, right? Where the mission is to catch you or something like that.
Yes.
We have
yes.
this. We definitely have the ability to do faces and missions. So if you want to give that away to some of your players, you let me know.
I will let you know this week. That would be great.
Viewers,
and so
your fans,
this is
your children.
Yeah,
your
I call them
your pets.
I don't think my ex-wife's already been in a video game. She still hears about it to this day. So
Is she one of the bikini girls in Twisted Metal?
No, but she was in Twisted Metal. She was the one who stole Sweet Tooth's truck.
And then she stole your truck, right?
No, we're still officially married, so we haven't done that.
What?
Yeah, we're legally married. She lives up the road. I just walked 2 hours with her last night on the track. We spend last time.
That's crazy. Dude.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo, man. I'm a weird guy. People love me. I'm
we'll
affable.
Talk about that later, but okay.
Yeah, no, I won't talk about it now. I don't give a shit. But I mean, look, I've always been very good friends with the women I've broken up with. Because I'm awesome. But now look, though, this looks really cool. So this, though, is not out yet. There's a demo you can get right now, right? That's the idea?
There's a demo. It's a little bit old. I mean, there's a bunch of work. They're basically redoing a bunch of stuff. And there'll be another demo in like January, February, I think. And it'll be amazing. I mean, there's so much work has gone into it. It is really Cause's, passion project. I mean, he is... I just can't say this enough. He's such a creative guy.
And he's making it on his own, and you guys are just helping fund a little bit of it, or does he have a team, or what?
Yeah, he's got. I mean, it's like a really indie kind of thing. There's like 5 guys. Maybe even exaggerating. Maybe it's like 3 guys. I don't know. But he does. I mean, he's the owner. He's the creative guy behind it, but he's also like pixel editing the faces, and like he's working 10 hours, 12 hours a day to get the game done. So it's pretty neat.
Let me ask you a couple more Die Hard questions, and I want to see if the audience has any questions for you, if that's cool. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you about this for sure, this Vice. When you guys, out of all the games in Die Hard Trilogy, the one that I have zero experience with is a rail shooter, right? So when you guys, how does that get made? Is it, do they just paper map the whole thing and then they make it, or is it constantly iterated and someone's like, hey, what if we do the camera over here? All right, let me go build that section of the map. Or like, I've always wondered how you make a rail shooter rail. Like, how is that thought through?
I mean, I think the way it's done today and the way it was done, 20 years ago is so radically
I don't think anybody
different.
does it today.
I think there's somebody at Konami, probably maybe they make one of those games every now and then. I don't know. But I think somebody made a 3D model of the airport, and an animator made this path through the airport, right? He constructed the camera path, and then they watched it and said, tweak this, tweak that. And then the designer came in and started to populate, where the enemies went. And the designer would put in places where the camera would stop and stuff like that. But I do think it was... whatever ideas you have about the process and the kind of the level of process that there was is all wrong. Like, I think it was just, I'm not going to trivialize this because it's a great game, but I think it was just a bunch of kids that were like, hey, let's just do this. Like, and it worked somehow.
Which one do you like the most out of the 3? Which game?
Oh, 3. Yeah. And 3 was my favorite of the movies. Just because of the driving in Manhattan.
Wow.
Samuel Jackson
Yeah,
makes,
he's great.
Die Hard as a buddy cop movie, right?
Yeah.
With the white guy and the black guy. And I just, my favorite line in that movie is Bruce keeps calling him Jesus. And he's like, "Why the hell you call me Jesus? My name's not Jesus, it's Zeus." And he goes, "I heard that guy call you Jesus." And he goes, "No, he was saying, hey, Zeus." So it's, that line just always cracks me up. And it's, maybe just I find the fact that it was kind of almost like a pun that he was saying,
Right.
hey, Zeus. But there's just the two of them and the way they interact is just so good in that movie.
I should go back
the
and
game,
watch that
I
one. I've
love
only
just-
seen it once, but maybe I just didn't need to give more of a chance. I remember it ended on a boat with a bomb. That's all I remember.
That's crazy, dude. I mean, and the bad guy is Jeremy Irons, who is a
Oh yeah, he's great.
fucking amazing actor. And I mean, there's just, that movie is just beat after beat. It's just so good. And
Was that
it's
McTiernan
Manhattan
as well? I know Rennie Harlan did the second one. Do you remember who directed the third one, or you don't know?
I'm drawing a blank. I think it was, but what was cool was that from my perspective, there was no director that owned it. So he was just work for hire. We didn't have to show him anything.
That's
or get
cool.
Approval from anyone. We just did it, I went to the premiere, which was kind of neat. I was there with surrounded. I think Gina Davis was sitting next to me. And that's that was my one little tiny Hollywood moment, of all my years at Fox. So it was kind of neat. I think they gave me a shirt.
I don't know if you were
shirt, by the way.
there or if you had left Sony when we got to go to the Ocean's 11 premiere.
That would have been 5 years later, I think.
Oh, okay. Because that was cool. We got to go to the after party, and Jennifer Aniston was there, and she was crying. And she was sitting at a table, and Courtney Cox was consoling her because Brad Pitt, I guess, was flirting with Jennifer Aniston's assistant.
Damn.
And it was like high school. They were the popular kids in the lunchroom. It was the crazy. We're like, oh my God, this is like high school. It's like, oh, it's okay, baby. It's okay. I'm like, you're a fucking grown, rich woman. I don't get it.
They're just people too, Dave.
Yeah, that's what Star Magazine tells me. They're just like us. They're just like us, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put their $100,000 pants on one leg at a time.
You goddamn right. Okay. One thing I wanted to talk about briefly on this is when I played Die Hard Trilogy again, and this is not a knock to that game. It's more of speaking about the times. There's no onboarding, right? You get into Die Hard 3, you don't have a fucking clue what to do other than just, I guess they're arcade games, so they kind of help you along. And there was no question of what to do in Die Hard 2. But it is interesting. Back then, we didn't even think about it. You play Twisted Metal 1 and 2, and you just figure it out. Maybe there's a manual. I mean, it's nuts.
No, that's what it was. Every game had a big, thick manual, right?
Yeah.
You had to read the manual. It told you how to play. It told you the controls. Onboarding, tutorials, none of that existed. In a way, I'm glad. I mean, I feel like that was better. I'll play a game today, and I have a hard time starting something new because some games you spend an hour just going through the tutorial.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, just fucking let me play the game, or and I'll get bored and I'll just quit.
Well, and people get mad at me online because there are games with tutorials that I'll just barely pay attention to, and then they're like, "Well, you're saying the onboarding's bad, but it was in the tutorial." I'm like, "Motherfucker, I'm not looking for a prerequisite college class where I have to have aced the tutorial to enjoy the game. The game should recognize that not everybody's going to sit there and memorize every fucking tutorial on you." Anyway.
Would play it and you'd figure it out and then you'd play it again. I mean, back then, of course, games were different. Today, you're playing a game, it's got save spots, and you just keep going forward, right? You never go back. Back then, you might play for half an hour and die, and the next day you'd start over. So, if you didn't know about the grenade button, the next time you play, you'd use the grenade button because you figured it out.
The new Terminator game, like I've said, I talked about the other day, there's a lot to like about it. It's not my favorite, but there's a lot to like. And one of the things I do think is cool is that, which is if you're playing through in story mode and you die and you run out of continues, you have to restart the whole fucking thing.
Is this the new game that came out like a year ago or
no,
something?
this came out a
since
couple of
then?
days. This came out last week. This is called Terminator 2D
Oh,
Future something. It's a retro side scroller. It's basically what Acclaim would have made back in the day if it had
oh.
been a good, Acclaim every now and then
We
got
did
a,
make a Terminator 2 game, by the way, back in the day, and it
yeah,
was just
no.
retro,
I
side
reckon
scroller.
I would check. I don't think there's a demo. It's way overpriced for what you get, but from a nostalgia standpoint, and if you love Terminator, there's much better retro new shooters on the market. But if you love Terminator, it's good. It shouldn't be $30, but it's good for what it is.
Well, thank you for trivializing the work that the dev team put into that game by saying it shouldn't be 30
It shouldn't be
bucks. We
30
get the
bucks.
same shit.
Well,
We get the
again,
same shit on
it,
Croc where people go, "This is a $5 game. It's AI slop. How
but
dare they charge
okay?
us
Well, I don't think it's AI slop,
$29?"
and if they're saying it's AI slop, maybe they're saying it's bad. But and I don't think it is. I'm not. It's got a good Metacritic and stuff, but I'm saying that maybe because end of the day, though, what you do, and I know you know this more than I do, but you know, how much does Croc cost?
$29.
Okay, I mean it's a long, meatier game compared. I mean, you can finish this game in about 45 minutes if you don't die.
Well, all right, then maybe that's different.
But wait, but
you know,
here's
look,
the
how much
important
did it
thing.
cost
Though.
them to make it?
It doesn't matter though, right? Because they are out there in the world competing with everything else, right? And so I understand maybe why they go, well, the license is this, and there's the to get Bad to the Bone, which is in there from the scene in Terminator 2 in the bar. They actually have the George Thorogood. So I get it, but fundamentally
That's
speaking,
not cheap.
it's not cheap, but that's not the audience's problem. The audience is like, well, I could buy this for $30 or I could buy Neon Inferno for $19. And Neon Inferno is longer and better, doesn't have Terminator, but so I mean, you are out there competing, and I imagine that's something
You can't always compare like that, right? I mean, it costs us money to make Croc, and
Sure.
and there was a dev team working for a year and a half, and we have to break even so we can make the next game. We have to make money so I can buy a Porsche.
Right, but
So,
wait a minute before
you know-
okay, but wait a minute though. But you're talking about two different things then. If you're saying there are people that bitch about it, but fundamentally you can still sell enough copies at $30, then you're absolutely right. I'm talking more about you can overprice your stuff because the audience doesn't care what it took to get to the finish line. They just know how it sits in the context of the rest of the market that you're competing with. But
Yeah.
if you made your money
Those
with
guys,
Croc,
like you said, yeah, but it's not that easy. It's not, we don't have EA budgets for marketing, and so we're a small team. Like there's no Porsche,
I know
yet.
that, but I'm saying if you
So-
made your money with Croc though, and you're into profitability, then you made the right call, right? I mean, that's the way to look at it. And enough people thought it was worth $30.
We wanted to make right. So we had to choose a price point. Excuse me. We had to choose the right price point because, yeah, maybe if we went to $20, we'd sell more units, or maybe we go to $50, we'd sell less units but make more money, right?
Right.
But there's no right answer. We don't know, but we don't want to give it away. Some people were like, "Why didn't this come with Croc 2 and both Game Boy games?" And we're like, I mean, at some point, like, we got to make money. Like, it's a tough business.
Yeah, but you understand
And it is a really tough business.
it is, but you understand their position, right? Their position is, well, I can get Mortal Kombat, the Legacy Collection, with like all the games for basically the same price. And I'm not saying your individual
Emulation. Dude, the amount of work that goes into that is a whole different ballgame. Don't throw
But
that.
I am throwing
emulation
that,
shit at me. Come
but
on.
I am throwing it at you because
Come on. And
that's
a
what.
great product.
Well,
They did a really
okay,
nice
but
job with that.
you have to know what I'm talking about though. I'm talking about the audience expectations that has been set. And again, I'm glad you sold it for $30 because you picked the right price point. You got into profitability.
And we're on sale right now on Steam for 40% off.
Yeah.
So people who really are price conscious, they can go on Steam now and buy it. And the market has been trained, right, to only buy games when they're on sale. So we do see revenue go up when the price goes down. But if we shipped it at 20,
I don't think
no
you
one
should
would
have.
buy it until we sold it for 5.
I'm not saying you made a mistake. You're profitable. That's great.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm just saying
Sorry.
that I understand why the audience not would call it AI slop, but they don't know any better. And even if they did know better, they're like, well, that's your problem. I just want to play something fun. I don't care what it took to make. And somebody was bitching at me about saying Terminator wasn't worth $30 online. They're like, they had to get the license. I'm like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. That's not my problem.
Well, I mean, the Terminator game is $30, but like, it's, Super Nintendo games were 70.
Well, yeah, but it's different
So
time.
$30 is a pretty good deal. Every Nintendo game is $69, even like 5 years after they release it, right? They don't even put that shit on sale.
Yeah, but they can. The business
So
has.
I think $30 is great. If I'm going to get 10 hours of enjoyment out of a game, $30 is a pretty good deal.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I understand the fans' perspective on that. But
You're wrong.
well, here's what I'll tell you though. Did you ever think about? I'm sure you did. What kept you guys from going? Hey, let's also do. I mean, Croc on Game Pass. I assume would be a pretty good no-brainer, right?
That is a tricky one because, first of all, I just want to say, I wish that Microsoft was more successful. I think having two competing platforms that are both successful is good for the whole business.
Yeah.
Good for the players. It's good for the industry. It does seem like Game Pass is becoming the only way to make money on Xbox. I mean, we made money on Xbox.
What did you put?
It is not our.
What did you put Croc on Xbox? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not our number one platform. It's not our number two platform. So I think it's our number three platform, maybe number four. I think Game Pass is still an option, right? It's something we could contact Microsoft and see if we can get in there. I think, in the future, I think a lot of developers are looking at Xbox and saying, if we're not on Game Pass, we're just not going to do it at all. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do all the work required to ship your game on that platform. I don't know that we would do Xbox One next time around. I think we're dropping PS4, same thing. I don't know if we do PS4 anymore. The numbers just aren't there. If we were Call of Duty, we're going to ship 20 million units, and we'd say, oh, well, PS4 will still be millions of units, and it's worth it. But we're not. We're small.
It is interesting that you don't see that same demand from Sony that you were talking about with PS2, which is like, hey, or PS1, at the end of the life cycle, we want more kid stuff. You'd think the PS4 would be, I guess the little brothers aren't getting the PS4s anymore. They're wanting to just get the phones and the PCs, and so they don't have that.
And PS4 and PS5, they're so similar in the fact that the PS4 games run on the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
It just becomes like PS5 is like PS4 Plus.
Right.
And so,
right.
everyone and we have players, even on Croc, where players are telling us, oh, I bought the game on PS4, and now I'm playing on PS5, and there's some technical problems there. But, so a lot of people they just see it as an upgrade,
Right.
And, look, I mean, Game Pass is definitely an option for us. I'm disappointed to see what Microsoft has done. I just really wish they had tried harder.
I don't know. Yeah,
more successful.
I would agree. I think they've done some terrible things, but they've done some really good things. I love Game Pass. They had to do it by buying studios, but they put out a lot more consistent first party titles than PlayStation does. I think my take on it, Mike Arkin, is marketing, right? I think a lot of people don't even know what Game Pass is still. And you don't want to watch.
But I guess you have to ask this question: is Game Pass good for the industry? Is it good for the industry to have a inexpensive subscription, and now nobody's ever going to buy your $50 game or your $40 game or your $30 game?
Yeah.
How does that benefit us?
I think it's good for the industry, but I think the industry has to change to accommodate it. Just like, the audience will always go frictionless. Most of the audience, unless you're like a hardcore, I love the art form, will go frictionless and cost. That's always drives it, right? And so the art form adjusts to the business model. So if it turns out that we can't make, or most people can't make, the big expensive games anymore, in some ways it's like, oh, cool, we can go back to making $850,000 games, and they're not going to look as good, but but it's a different. Maybe,
but the problem is there are so many games in the market right now.
That's true.
And no matter how many $300,000 indie games you make, they're like, oh wow, that's such a great game, Vice Undercover or whatever. But you're always going to be compared by the players to Call of Duty, Battlefield, Metal Gear Solid 9 or whatever,
Yeah.
Death Stranding, whatever are the really expensive AAA games, and there are so many of those, you can't play Call of Duty and Destiny and, whatever else, Dark Souls or whatever at the same time. Like there's just not enough game time. And so the $30 games are going to get like left behind.
Yeah. I mean, it is
And
a
I just want to
real.
say, thank God for people like Balatro guy and
Mhm.
the Vampire Survivors guy that are out there doing the work and making stuff that's innovative and proving that you can still do it and make money. I mean, I do think they're outliers, but there's some amazing games that have come out of these, like the two-man teams.
Well, I do think some of it is maybe a refusal on the part of the $30 games to sort of pivot their design, right? Because, and again, I'm excited to play Croc. I'm looking forward to playing it. But let's just take it because we're talking about it and it's $30, right? Croc does kind of try to compete with much more production value games, I would assume, because they're, yes, it's a retro platformer, but there are games that let you go into a 3D world and explore and, all that stuff. And so I can see that people would say, well, why would I want that if I could get this for a little more, or this from last year where it's on sale for $20? But you're not going to, and that's why I think some of the AA stuff kind of fucks up. But if you look at, like you mentioned, Balatro, if you look at Ball Pit, if you look at Vampire Survivors, you can't get that experience, and it happens to be a great experience, anywhere else. And I do wonder if maybe it makes more sense for companies to say, let's put out 5 of those at the same cost as one of these AA's, if we can get the funding. I know it's easier said than done, because
Yeah, there's not a lot of funding right now. But I mean, Dave, the answer is unfortunately, yeah, I'm sure you've heard the joke a million times, right? The guy buys the movie studio and the head of production says we have 10 movies in development, and like basically short version, 2 of them are going to hit big and 8 of them are going to be dogs. And the guy goes, well, just make those 2.
right.
Like the Ball Pits and the Vampire Survivors and the Balatros, you can't go and make one of those.
You
It's
can't
a fucking
consciously,
accident.
yeah, you can make one of
Right.
those, but you can't
So
guarantee yeah. That's why you have to make a bunch
like
of them.
Angry Birds was their 30th game.
Yeah.
So, you can't just say our business model is going to be to make the small $20, I mean, fucking Vampire Survivors, I think I paid $4 for.
Yeah.
And God, I mean, like I should call that guy and, give him $500, right? Just for thanking him for all the time I put into it.
Yeah.
But you just can't do it. Now, what you can do is you can say we're going to make a Croc, and we know that it's a certain size and that it'll be the value is going to be there. With a smaller thing, you don't know for sure if players are going to think the value is there.
No, but
I would like to have a whole industry of Balatros and Vampire Survivors, and there's 20 other games probably that I've played in the last few months where I'm just like, oh, that's kind of neat. You look at all the survival crafting games that popped up because somebody figured out they're really easy to make.
Right.
And there's a shit ton of them, and they're fun. Right? If you like that genre, they're fun.
I do.
What's the one? Valheim and there's one that.
Well, I mean, Arc Raiders it's an extraction, but you're talking about like base building and all that. But yeah, there's like the Forest and Sons of the Forest and I mean,
but like those games were easy to make, and then in some cases people came in and put higher production value in and made something bigger and better. I mean, there's guys out there. I mean, making. I think wasn't it for a while. I think Blizzard was making one, but I think they canceled it.
Yeah.
But maybe that wouldn't have happened. In the same way, there's people making clones of Vampire Survivors with high production value.
Right.
And it wouldn't have happened if that kid hadn't made Vampire Survivors. So,
but you can't consciously. I mean, let me be correct here. You're basically saying that if you take something like, there's a higher chance that you'll you're not going to make Balatro money, but there's a higher chance you can be profitable, pay the team, stay in business long enough to get the next deal, if you were making something that's a little bit more dependable. Like we know there's an audience for Croc at this price, which I think
we know there's an audience for Buck Bumble, or we know there's an audience for iNinja or Starglider, or would I at some point in my life would I like to say, hey, what if Buck Bumble was an extraction shooter? Okay, maybe that might be cool.
Right. Yeah.
You heard it here first, kids.
Hey, do you know, by the way, I went into Google Gemini the other day on my stream and I said, make me a Vampire Survivors game. And it was one prompt. And then it did it. And then I said, make it so whenever I level up my character, I have to answer a trivia question correctly about video games. And it did it. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Amazing.
And it wasn't like hours of noodling with it. It was a prompt. And it spit out the code, and it said, put the code into Notepad and then run it in your browser, and it just worked. It's crazy.
Yeah, we are 10 years away from video game development turning into prompt development, where you'll sit down and say, I want to play a game like Call of Duty, and all the characters are Major League Baseball players, and the bad guy is, Idi Amin, and you just sit there and write a story, and then it'll be like a full...
I love
the game
it.
that used to take in for people.
It's the holodeck, baby. That's what we've always wanted. I mean, I think some
it's the
people,
holodeck. You're right.
Some people are going to be
God,
better
I hope it's
at
not
it.
all Sherlock Holmes games.
I know, or 1940s detective noir. It's like that's okay for you, Picard, but By the way, if you guys got any quick questions for Mike Arkin, this has gone long, but Mike, I love it. I appreciate it. I do want to get the super chat that came our way from Full Metal. He says, Jaffe is talking from a customer standpoint. I appreciate the devs, but I got to think about my pockets too. Yeah, and I don't think Mike's not aware of that, right? But I do think, you guys are gamers too, and you see both sides. But I do think that maybe the hard part, and thank you for that, Full Metal, maybe the hard part is now there's such a direct connection to the developer that you gotta run interference, and you really can't, right? You can't run interference for the team. You can't say you can't go on social media. I mean, maybe the office, but they're gonna see it and it's gonna hit them. But what are you gonna do, right? I mean, back at Sony, when I first started at Sony, I don't know if you remember Jose Cruz, but he was like the lead tester, and he would get physical letters from people. And that was the only way we had to connect with people who liked and in more cases were not happy with the products we were making. Now it's like it's just, turn on the computer and get insulted. But
I mean, I get DMs on Twitter, and my death threats come in all different forms.
Have you gotten death threats?
Not really.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about me.
Well,
I'm so sorry to tell you that, but
I do.
I think
Michael.
I got once or twice. I worked on a game that was developed in Germany, and they put placeholder text in for localizations, right? So we wouldn't forget. And they used sauerkraut for all the German text. So if you saw sauerkraut, you knew they forgot something. And some guy was like, "I'm so insulted. How dare you? You've insulted my country, my people, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Hey, dude, look. Was put in by the German developers. That's not me. Like, come on, man. They did that on purpose. But he was very angry. I don't think I've ever had an actual death threat.
I got one the other day. He says, "Hey, bud, I'm curious to see why it is always the F slur and man children that revolve around their life around video games all fail as parents. I hope your own kids off themselves because trans is not a thing. You failed as a parent, F slur." And I wrote back, "Just lucky, I guess. Be well. I love you." Like, I mean, I that's the closest I've ever gotten. But I'm like, honestly, I think a death threat, if you really want to kill somebody, why would you send a threat? It's like Solid Snake's like, "Hey, I want to let you know I'm going to be in the area next week and I'm going to kill you." It's like, don't tell them. It's like, why would you call in a bomb? Why would you call in a bomb threat?
I think when people get death threats, that's a sign that they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like unless they're serious, it's like the Souls of killing somebody. The Souls game, the Souls genre of it's like, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to let you know in advance. That's how good I am.
Dave, on a personal note, I would like to say, reading your Twitter over the years, your support of your son and your son's journey through life is an amazing example of good parenting, and how a father should be to his child. Yeah. So when people write stuff like that, I hope you don't think for a second other than what a fucking asshole.
I feel bad for them, and it makes me sad because there are a lot of kids out there, and they don't have to be trans, they don't have to be LGBT. It's anything where a kid is not supported by a parent who, again, parents don't have to agree with everything their kids do, but I've been stunned by how little love there is. Like and again, I appreciate the compliment, but it doesn't land as a compliment because you might as well tell me, hey, it's really cool that about 5 or 6 times a day you get hungry. I love how you do that. I'm not.
But dude, don't trivialize.
I'm
because
not.
There's
I'm
a lot
not.
of parents that say,
I'm
"Fuck
not.
you, get out of the house."
You're
How
right.
dare you?
You're right.
Know?
I'm not trivializing it. What I'm saying is I didn't arrive there by any work. I was just raised. I was very fortunate, and I was raised by parents that they had a lot of other issues, but they were incredibly loving and supportive of their children. Yeah. And in that, that's just all I know. So it doesn't come across as anything other than, well of course. But thank you for saying
that. And a lot of parenting is inherited, right?
Yes, that's right.
I was so happy to give my daughter the speech, like, hey, I don't know what you're doing. I love you, whatever you do, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, whatever, dude, I'm straight. And I was like, oh, damn, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's the rumor, right? Apparently all of us parents of trans kids, like we really were out there going, please, let me make you into a trans kid. That's what I want. I'm like, I just want you to be happy, man. I don't give a fuck what you are. It's none of my business.
Right. Your kid is happy?
Oh yeah. Very happier. My kid, what was so crazy about that kid is my son was super bright, happy, bushy tailed till about 11 or 12. And then there was a period where he got really anxious and shit. And once we worked through all this, and it took 2 years of therapy and doctor's appointments and figuring out what was real and what was not. And he's a bright kid. Right. He wasn't going to be like, I'm going to transition and not even think about it. Who gives a shit if I want, this was a real methodical process. Super happy again, back to being that guy, in a relationship, tons of friends, well-adjusted.
That's great.
In school, all the things. Yeah, and that's what
amazing.
Makes me sad is that they paint these kids like, oh, they're going to be so fucked up. And, it's like, dude, that's just not my experience. And that's not the experience I have with his friends.
I'm certainly sure it's not easy, right? Nobody wants to have different lifestyle, but
in this society, of course. I mean, it would be easier if everybody, was just, everybody loved you the minute you, popped out the vagina. And there was never any, but that's what he wanted. That's who he was. So, and people are like, well, it's not real. I don't care. He doesn't care. He knows there's a thing called gender dysphoria, and he knows that there is a medical condition, but what's he going to do? This is what has brought the only thing that the American Pediatrics and the American Psychological Association says that brings any kind of relief is some kind of gender affirming care. I'm sure, right. I don't, people are just.
We're straying into politics.
I don't care. It's all the same.
No, I mean, it is a very political conversation, and it doesn't help that it seems like there are people that just don't like the lifestyle, and they think that
there's no lifestyle.
We're all going to hell.
Well, that's the part. Yeah, that's the part I don't get. Is just like, really, it's 2025. If it really comes down to the fact that you are bothered because you believe literally the Bible, then yeah, let's just agree to disagree, and we don't have to be enemies. But it's like, I'm never going to see eye to eye with you because I think that's different. Is Mike Arkin related to Alan Arkin? I don't think so.
No, I wish. I've tried to reach out to him for my share of the family money, and they have asked me to please stop doing that. Yeah. But he was, I think he's passed away now, one of my favorite actors. The In-Laws, the original In-Laws, is the funniest fucking movie ever. He is such a great guy.
His son's a pretty good actor too. I like seeing his son is very similar.
Yeah,
and he's in some
Adam,
stuff.
right? Yep. I've seen him in a couple of things.
Yeah,
and there was a Michael, one of his other son, who I don't think was as successful. And I ran into a girl once that was like, I was talking to her, trying to get her number or whatever, and she was like, I already dated a Michael Arkin, like, so I can't do it again. So he kind of fucked that one up for me. Thanks, dude.
I'm sure that's what it was. I'm sure it's like, I would have fucked you, but I have a theory. All right. Anybody got any questions for Mike? Now is the time. We're running long, but definitely if you guys want to ask, I mean, he's been making them for 35 years, folks.
I want to throw one other thing out. We talked about Croc a little bit. I forgot to mention
Yes.
that there's a Croc Game Boy game that was made way back when. And the coolest company ever, there's a company called Mod Retro,
Okay.
and they have a device called the Chromatic. And the Chromatic is a modern FPGA Game Boy Color.
Okay. I'm pulling it up right
Plays
now.
all the original. You can plug in any Game Boy Color cartridge into it, and it plays it. It's got the case, instead of plastic, it's magnesium, and the screen is a modern backlit LED that's super bright, super clear.
Oh yeah, it
And
looks
they
really
are
good.
they're re-releasing Croc Game Boy, Croc 2 Game Boy on this Chromatic device, and it's super cool. I mean, they actually have gone into the ROM and added the ability to save your game.
Very cool.
Just by adding code, so you can save your game, and they've made some of the controls better. And the games come with a little charm. There's a little Croc charm. You can remember old cell phones. You'd hang a charm off the corner of the phone.
Oh, here's Croc right here. Yeah.
The Chromatic has a little post, so you can hang charms, and like every game comes with a charm.
Okay.
So it's got a cool collectible element to it.
But let me ask you, on
people
Croc,
don't know about that.
but Croc is the actual. You didn't remaster that. That is just that is just Croc, right?
Yeah, we found the original source code. We upscaled all the art. We fixed bugs. We added features.
No,
But it's
for
still-
Croc GBA.
Oh yeah, no, it's the original Game Boy game. Yeah, exactly. Game Boy Color, not GBA.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it right. It looks really great.
Well, there were two games that Argonaut made, back in the day. The second one was developed by Natsume, so it's more like almost like a JRPG, kind of.
Based on Croc?
The first one's just a standard Mario, it's really cool. I mean, it's not a JRPG is a little bit strong, but it has RPG kind of elements to it. If you level up, but
this is cool.
And,
it's really nice looking, man. I mean, the problem is I don't own any GBA games anymore, so you probably don't.
Game Boy Color, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't own any.
Well, get yourself a Chromatic. Do a piece about it.
They don't.
I
wish they would never do that for me. Nobody does that for me.
20, 30 new games. By the way, they're in Orange County, so maybe they can go down there. I don't know.
Dragon. So wait, wait. I'm sorry.
They've got old games they're re-releasing, and they've got new games that they're making.
Really?
They're making new Game Boy Color games.
I think I'm seeing some of them right now. These are cool, man.
So the machine ships with a copy of Tetris. It's a new Tetris. They wrote it's like the best version of Tetris ever.
Okay.
And it's really fun. And it's I'm back, just like in the old days. I'm on the plane playing Tetris on my Game Boy. It's so cool.
Okay, well, do you talk to these people a lot, Michael?
I talk to these people all the time. They've just announced their next piece of hardware. It's called because they're called Mod Retro, M64. It's an exact, again, it's like an N64 machine that will play old N64 games. They're the coolest company.
This isn't the Palmer Luckey company, though. That's different.
This is the Palmer Luckey company.
Oh, he's a bad dude. He's a bad dude.
Palmer is not a bad dude. Palmer he's a genius.
I'm sure he is, but doesn't he make all kinds of weapons and shit? He's like Tony Stark before he got in the cave, right?
Was Tony Stark a bad guy?
When he made weapons before he stopped making weapons, and he says, "I'm done with that."
So, I'm an American.
I'm American too.
I have.
What kind of American are you?
My tax money. Yeah, that's very funny. My tax money pays for the American military. Mm-hmm. I want the American military to have the best toys, right? And so Palmer's company makes toys for the American military, and he's very much like Tesla, where they develop things outside the normal military process. So they develop stuff that's way better than the shit that normally makes it through the military procurement system.
Yeah.
They have these drones that are super cool. I mean, they're not like killer attack drones, right? It's like cameras and surveillance and stuff like that. But it's stuff that the military needs. And he's built a company to make that stuff. But he's a super game geek. He's got this crazy game collection in a nuclear silo somewhere. Supposedly with like every game ever. And so he formed this company, Mod Retro, to make some of the coolest like retro game tech.
Okay, so look, then now you've sold me. Now I like him. Now look, the next time you talk to them, you tell them to send your buddy Jaffe one of these fucking things and be a sponsor. Nobody sponsors my show, Mike. I need your advice as a producer.
I can't guarantee they're going to sponsor your show, but I can probably get you a Chromatic and a copy of Croc to play.
I would love both. I would love anything you can get, but tell them to sponsor my fucking show too, because I love the military now. You've sold me.
I mean, I would just say I met Palmer a bunch of times. He gets a lot of heat on the internet. If you watch his interview with Sean Ryan, if you ever watched the Sean Ryan show, he really talks about some of the stuff they're doing, and it's super neat.
Okay.
It's a lot like Tesla. I know, again, people don't like Elon. He's a Nazi, but the tech, like even just like a Cybertruck, the tech in a Cybertruck is like Game Geek heaven. I have a Tesla. My car has video games. Like I play Vampire Survivors in my car.
Who's driving?
There's Steam. No, you have to park, obviously.
Oh, I see.
But when you're parked, you can play games. I literally have a PlayStation controller. I pull it out, and I play Vampire Survivors, on the 17-inch screen in the car.
Right.
And Tesla has all these cool bits of tech.
Okay.
And
I love him. He's my new best friend. Please send me one of these. These are awesome. And I want this game Wicked Plague and Croc, please. Thank you very much. Thank you, Palmer Lucky. Okay, Sam,
whatever you want, man.
All right, baby. Mike Arkin, anything else to say to the nice people watching? More people will be watching in the future. Obviously, this is a limited stream, but I'm going to put it up on the internet. People will discover it. Anything you want to tell people besides and when I do get a code for Croc, I will stream it. And people can watch it and we'll talk about it. But anything you want to talk to people about?
I would just say, please subscribe, click the little bell icon.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you need to do.
Send
Dave money I think he needs it. I'm not sure what he hasn't shaved in months because he can't afford a razor.
If that was the reason, then at least it would be a better reason. But I have ADD, Michael. This is ADD beard. This is like, it's boring to shave it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Same thing. I mean, look, I love doing this with you, Dave. I love that we have 35 years of shared history.
Yeah, come do a show. Let's make a show. We'll do a weekly show, Mike Arkin. What do you think?
I said to you last week, I would love to do that. I'd love to do a weekly show. I'd love to get guests and shoot the shit. I think it's so much fun.
Can we do it about retro? I don't even want to make
money. You can have all the money.
Okay, can we do it like about PlayStation and earlier, though?
I love that. I think
because that's your ballywick and that's our history. And I don't know what you're playing these days. Do you play a lot of modern games? Or are you too busy? Like, you playing Arc Raiders? Are you playing Unicorn Overlord?
I'm playing Arc Raiders. I play every day. I have a friend that from high school, and we play Arc Raiders almost every day. And we're not good, but we have so much fun, and we're figuring stuff out. And I play a little of everything. I mean, before this show, I was waiting for you. I played Vampire Survivors for like an hour, and I have 1,200 games in my Steam library, so I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm playing there's this RTS that I really like, Tempest Rising.
Okay.
It is it's a modern Command and Conquer, and it is so well done. Everybody that likes RTS should be playing this. It's such a fantastic game. I love these guys, whoever they are. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But I play a lot. I mean, I'm just constantly playing something.
Let's have a conversation about it. I like our sexual dynamic, our sexual chemistry, Michael. I think the kids like it.
If you want to add some gay sex to our story, I think. No,
I just like it being. I like it being subtextual. The minute it's kind of like when Bruce Willis started dating Sybil Shepherd on Moonlighting, the whole thing fell apart. We don't actually want to cross the line. We want to.
No, they actually say that's when Moonlighting fell apart. That's a big.
Yeah, I mean, whenever or Sam and Diane or any of the kind of will they or won't they characters, and then they do, and then it kind of like, well, now what? That was the big thing, right?
Ross and Rachel, actually, that worked out pretty well.
That worked out, yeah. Well, I would love that.
What we should do is we should shoot the show from Thailand, and I've got some ideas. We'll talk later.
All right. I'm not even, it's called White Lotus, the video game version, right? I am not
There you go.
joking. I think we should have a conversation about it. I think we need to do that, and you need to send me Croc so I can stream it. Everybody, Michael
do that.
Arkin, thanks, buddy. It is always delightful to talk to you. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad to hear about the.
Thank you, Dave.
Of course. Let's seriously. I'm not even joking. I want let's talk about this week sometime.
Yeah, sounds great. All right.
He's not gonna pick up.
See you kids later.
Goodbye, Michael Arkin. We'll see you, buddy. All right, there he goes, fellas. Let me.
Do I disconnect or does it just fade to black?
You should no, because I'm going to keep talking to the chat for a few minutes, and then I'll. But this is your ride off into the sunset. Goodbye, Michael.
I'm never.
There he goes, Michael Arkin. That was fun. Gun says goodbye. That was fun. I hope you guys had a good. Yeah, it was total hesitation machine. But Mike is great. Mike is, again. Shut up, Zeke, you whore. Anybody like Mike more than Jaffe? Maybe it could work. You have to understand that Arkin has matured. He has grown up and become more of a real person. I have not. So I'm used to that version of Mike, and goddamn it, I will bring it out of him. But I think doing a retro show on the channel would be fun. Not just PlayStation, but going all the way back and bringing people on from those times. I wouldn't want to do it every single day, but once a week, I think that would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of people who do that. But the older I get, I mean, I still love modern games, of course, but the older I get, I do love going back to something like I'm loving Neon Inferno, and I am enjoying Terminator 2. The great renaissance of this year has been that, right? We got the Ninja Gaiden, we got the Shinobi, we got Terminator 2, we got Neon Inferno. It's cool to see. And then I look at this thing that Mike was talking about from Mod Retro, and I'm like, it's pretty fucking cool that they're making new games. And I'm sure you guys have seen the Atari. The new Atari, man, is. I wish they'd send me one because I don't want to buy it because I know I probably would play it, but I wouldn't play it a lot. But I'd love it to have in the background once I put my background back up. That's real. Shut up, Tech Protect, you whore. Look at that. Look how beautiful that fucking thing is. Isn't that gorgeous? Fucking gorgeous, man. And you can get all, But then you got to go out and buy the games, man. I don't know. It's still gorgeous, though. Fucking beautiful. All right. I will be streaming later today. Whether or not we do a game stream or a proper Gabbin and Games, I don't know. Ninja Gaiden was great, Danny. I enjoyed it very, very much. But I'm going to wrap this stream up. I'll be back streaming later, sometime later today, this afternoon. But in the meantime, that's the show. Anna, thank you for modding. Thank you for super chats that we got. Thank you for your conversation. This is now going behind a paywall for members who are Calypso's Cult and above. It'll be going out to Diet Soda Soldiers and Diet Coke Commandos next week. And then about 2 weeks after that, it'll be for everybody to watch. So that's the show. Be well. I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Mike Arkin.